Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Manila Major and welcome to the Philippines. The opening ceremony has been completed and over the next 6 days we'll be looking for a champion. It might not be the thriller in Manila, but we've got some big fights ahead as we search for the greatest Dota 2 team on planet Earth. Before we get to our first match of the day, however, let's take a look back at groups A, B, C and D from days 1 and 2. Okay, so we're going to go through Group A. Newbie winning that one, of course, on day 1. OG coming through in the lower bracket, winning through to the upper bracket in the main event, and Empire going down to the lower bracket in Group B. Let's take a look. Digital Chaos putting up a good fight in Group B, but in the end, they had to drop down to the lower bracket. Na'Vi being the star team in Group B with a surprising 4-0 win. Team Secret finishing last in Group B. We'll see how they get on today in the lower bracket. And Group C, Team Liquid, perhaps inevitably winning in Group C, but they weren't easy games for them. They went 2-1 in both games to take the lead in Group C, and at the bottom bracket, Fnatic had to come through against a tough game against Alliance, and actually their third game was a whitewash. So Fnatic and Team Liquid coming through Group C, Alliance and Vici Gaming going to the lower bracket. And our final group, Group D. Evil Geniuses struggling a little bit in the upper bracket, losing to LGD, who were the surprise winners in Group D. And then in the lower bracket, MVP Phoenix confirming their upper bracket for the second round. And in the main stage, of course, they'll be playing in the upper bracket today in our opening match. Evil Geniuses will have to fight their way through the lower brackets. So there's the four groups. Time to introduce your panel, but before we get to our panel, let's take a look back at the highlights from groups A through to D.
Previously on the Manila Major.
Timer now. Universe catching out Artstar, the Sunstrike as well. Artstar being bursted low, but he keeps himself alive. The Supernova coming out. Now Secret are going to be careful. Envy Blade Fury trying to get himself away. Puppey's being dragged back into the Supernova range, and now the Sunray comes through. RTZ taking out Puppey as well. This is looking to be potentially the end of the road here for Secret in this first series. They will be knocked down to the lower stages.
Yeah, you know DC will be able. Oh, they jump in from Dindi. He got the spike here, makes it a two-man stun. They're blowing up Weehia. He's already gone. Saksa now going to be swapped into a Primal Roar. Picture perfect execution from Na'Vi as they find the outground opening.
That's just Rex.
All led from Dindi. Pincer, oh no, the dive away. Paladin managed to get the Supernova, but immediately the pop out the Rage, and they will be able to take out that Supernova immediately. Support for support. Now they manage to get the Night Stalker as well, and Innocence will be able to get away. Universe pops the Surge and runs himself out, but I think this Ember Spirit, especially with that beautiful blink forward from Faithbian, will be able to catch out too. Eternal Envy's also gonna fall as they just get right-clicked down by Shadow. 4 down from Secret. out, trying to find their initiation. Go for Ice Ice. They're going to be able to take out the Brewmaster instantly, and he's down for a full 2 minutes. Now Digital Chaos. Vacuum goes out next to the wall. Saksa almost going to be blown up, but he managed to get off the shallow grave. And now Shadow, he's going for Resolution, but he's surrounded by 3 other members of DC. He pops it open, continues the damage, but Resolution is going to be fine, and DC look to be able to catch Shadow. They managed to get the stun on him with no dark pack. He's trying to keep himself alive. The pounces it up the time, and he's down for 2 minutes. That's got to be a Digital Chaos. They won the fight, and now with a beautiful body block, Weeha is styling on the extra hero as Beastmaster's going to go down as well, and just like that, Digital Chaos have managed to 2-1 Wings.
As Alliance, they'll get it. Radiant's going to kill the Roshan. Aegis still on the ground. Mutuma Man snatches it. He's taken the Aegis. Loader pops the BKB. Trying to force back, but no kills at the moment. They'll lie on to Mutuma Man, but he's got the Aegis, so it doesn't matter. They need to kill someone else. They'll look for Fade jumping forward, but Kuroki keeping the DP alive. The walls drop down, and Loader, he's gone, as well as S4. Liquid taking 2. They'll get a 3rd, as well as Ake falls.
Lightning Storm. He's actually been spike carapace up. They're going to go to work on him. Fatu will pop the BKB. The Inferno Blade comes out. Supernova on top of it all. Static Storm misses. Resolution, Mushi going to work with the right click and get the job done. Kuroki, he's going to get on by 3-4-3. He has the call coming. Neolic should get chopped down. Tumbling Man gets a double kill. There's the Sunray to Ohio get brought down as well. So 3 dead just like that.
Hesitant about jumping in here. They've got to find the perfect one. In fact, DDC gets the initial lockdown onto Loader. Sunray's out as well with a finger at the Chrono, but again, Ake with the swaps, getting Loader out of there. Bulldog moves in with S4, chomps down onto the Supernova. They get themselves a second. The NT pops the BKB, but it might not matter. S4 blinking forward. They'll take down the Gyrocopter as well. 3 dead on VGR. Yang, he's in trouble. The silence is there. GG is called. Alliance have done it. 2-0.
Start things off, Fuels will come out, Exorcism's going to go as well. The Requiem, Ake, see you later. Now time lapse back, and Admiral Bulldog avoids most of that damage. Jules up coming out from S4 to make sure he stays alive. The Infest out looking for that damage. Ohio taking a lot from the Exorcism, but it's still healing up, and here comes Mushi the right. Can they keep S4 alive? The Spirit Siphon will do the job for the time being, but Mushi, a couple more right clicks, and finally they will get it done. No buyback for S4, and Bulldog will go down next.
So there we have it. The group stages are done. And we are now heading into our main bracket, which is a good point to introduce you to the main bracket. The upper bracket takes part today. We've got 2 matches today, of course. And we'll also look at the lower bracket. Before we get to that, though, let's introduce you to our panel members. We have 3 erstwhile members of the panel back again. We have Charlie, we have Nahaz, and we have Purge. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Fug was a little younger than Nahaz. I thought you wouldn't have made that mistake.
Yeah, well, I was trying to troll him, but it didn't work.
It was really good hair coloring that I found, to be honest.
Oh, you fixed it overnight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, we have Fogged with Charlie and Purge. Everyone okay? Everyone looking forward to it? It was a great opening ceremony, I thought.
Yeah, it's such a big difference being here in comparison to watching on stream, because I don't know if you guys can... It's different hearing the cheers, and it's different feeling the cheers.
Who won the Battle of the Cheers?
Definitely Navi, right?
Mineski or Navi?
Navi, Mineski,
Navi
EG Secret.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I thought Navi and Mineski kind of shaded that one as well.
Feeling the rumble is amazing.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah.
Really is.
So let's talk a little bit. I just want to very quickly wrap up the group stages. Charlie, what stood out for you?
Story of the tournament, man. It's Navi had a rough go, like in the beginning stages coming up, like during their scrims, but they broke out of that group, man. Didn't drop a single game. Really found their confidence. I think everybody wanted to see Na'Vi, Dendi do well. The crowd obviously wants to see them do well with the roars that when they came in. It's definitely Na'Vi.
Okay.
Absolutely agree with him.
Yeah.
There's no way you can say anything else. And it's not even just that the other team didn't look too great. It's that Na'Vi had great teamwork and synergy throughout all of them.
Yeah, I think the biggest point to me is just that a lot of the teams that were expected to win in their groups, they actually performed under expectations. With the exception of Newbie, that was the only team that just cleared through. I mean, Liquid got through. We expected that, but each set was a 2-1, and that's making them look a little shaky.
Yeah, all of us were looking at Wings, and we're like, oh, Wings is going to come out super ahead, but they looked very sloppy, and they're definitely going to have to pick up their pace.
Okay, let's take a look at the bracket right now and show you exactly how the main event looks, because we've got upper bracket matches today and, of course, tomorrow as well. That's obviously the Group A1. We'll correct that. There we go. There's the main bracket. Upper bracket, of course, has 8 teams in it, and 8 teams going into the lower bracket. Just to update you on the matches, we'll have Liquid MVP first today, but we'll end the day with the 4 lower bracket matches. It's going to be a terrific day of action. 2 best of 3s, 4 best of 1s to look forward to. And the other thing I want to talk about right now is also the rankings. I don't know, do we have the rankings ready? Because it would be really good to pick these ones up. I want to pick your brains, because you guys are supposed to be the experts, right? And I'm not saying you're not, but how many did you get right of the current top 8 that are in the top 8 half already from the predictions?
Charlie, can we start with you?
Yeah, let's go down the line.
Charlie.
Let's see.
How many out of 8 did you get that are in the top 8 right now?
I think I got maybe 5 or 6.
Okay.
You didn't get 6.
Fine.
You didn't get 6.
You definitely. We got 6.
It might have been 5. Oh, okay, you got 6.
Yeah.
Congrats, Nahaz.
We're tied for
Thanks.
second.
Well, the
not as good as
stats
LD.
just kind of led that too. You know, I couldn't get it wrong. It's
that
just
what it was?
stats don't lie. So of course I got 6 out of 8.
Okay.
Wings
You
just
got 6.
Yep. Wings kind of just missed it.
I got
up.
6 also. I
6.
think there's 3 people tied for 6. It was like Odie, Pixel,
Okay.
myself, and Fogged. And then LD's in the lead with 7 out of 8.
Hey, you know if OD Pixel got something right with predictions, there's something wrong with this tournament.
Ouch.
Well,
How about yourself, Paul?
Community. How about me?
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to talk about the community.
Oh, well, fine. I see you're dodging it, huh?
I got 4.
Okay.
4 out of 8. But that's okay, because I'm 1 ahead of Toby.
well, that's 50%.
You're
Yeah, you're bound to get 4.
50-50, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's 50-50. So yeah, community votes obviously also included DC. I wanted to point that out. They said DC would get into the top 8. Analysts said they wouldn't. So why was it that DC got into the top 8 and the community thought they would? What was so off about DC in your opinion?
I mean, I wouldn't say they were off. Wasn't it just the group that was a bit bizarre?
Yeah.
DC was in Group B, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Group was a bit bizarre, but they also performed really well. And I feel like as the group stages progressed, they looked better and better. And I think playing versus Na'Vi really helped them because they were just like, look at these guys' teamwork. We can learn a lot from them.
Yeah.
I think people tend to, especially the panel tends to underrate teams that come out of the North American region. But these guys have played in Europe. They've played against the top teams. They can do this. They have the individual skill. They have the experience to come together and know how to compete at the highest level.
Yeah, it's easy to look at them as a team and think of how close the old DC got to making majors and always missing it. But you got to remember that Misery and Weehaw, they were on Secret when Secret was very successful. So pulling that over and then filling the other 3 players with top tier talent around the world is definitely something that could lead to success. So they've been on the uprise.
Looking at it the other way, of course, you've got 2 players who are the current reigning champions. They are, the major champions. They come here with a different team completely. Their mentality needs to be really spot on for them to be able to progress through this tournament as well, because I guess they've come from being the champions, they're in Secret, best team in the world, and then they come here slightly not the best team, and people are looking at them thinking, they might not get out of the groups. Now they have. What's a win for DC?
Top 6 for sure, right? Like that would be great. And they're only 1 match away from that.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're very close.
I think top 6 would be a little kind of meh for them. I think top 4 would be something that they would personally be okay with welcoming.
That would shake up the community
definitely
as well,
true.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
agree with that.
And the top 4 that we've currently got were Liquid, Newbie, Wings, OG.
Yes.
How is that going to be broken, other than Wings being in the lower bracket right now?
I mean, Wings could go out with the best of 1. Liquid is still probably the favorite going into it. Newbie, I would definitely say.
I would say
looking
Newbie.
top
I'd say
2.
Newbie, maybe.
Newbie's the
Okay,
favorite right now.
that's true. Because they perform way better in group stage than Liquid did. But I'd be quite surprised if Liquid Newbie weren't top 2. But I could see Liquid getting upset.
I think as long as Liquid plays to their potential, then they're definitely going to come out ahead. Just because I feel like at group stages they were just lacking a slight bit.
Yeah. What about OG though? I mean, it was definitely one of the teams that almost everybody put top 4, but they got 2-0'd by Newbie. Not super surprising. It was similar at Epicenter. Do you guys think that they're still going to be hitting that mark?
I think it's more of a question of how other teams do against them, how the other top teams do against them. You sort of know what OG is going to do. There's sort of that, let's play around Miracle, all our eggs in the Miracle basket, and then it's going to be up to the other teams to respond to that. And I think it's not about how you shut down Miracle, but how you draft around him. He's going to get his farm. That's no question. But you have to make sure that you can deal with a farm Miracle come the late game, or make sure that the late game never comes. It's not about just shutting him down. It's about dealing with his hero.
They're also coming off of a pretty big win. Well, not huge, but at Dream League they did pretty much crush, and you could see that they have a lot of confidence coming into this tournament.
Okay, and one other team I want to highlight is LGD, because not very many people are still speaking about them. It's surprising to me, because when we did some investigation when we came here, we spoke to a lot of the Chinese players and administrators and managers, and they all said to us, LGD are playing ridiculously in practice. They've been playing absolutely sick online back at home against all the other Chinese teams. They're going to crush their group, and they did, right? And some of us were a little bit like, we've heard this story before. They've come to TI, and they've kind of told us they're playing really well, and then actually they do really well in the group, and still no one is talking about them as potential winners. Why?
It's just very reminiscent of what a lot of the top teams do. They maybe get a little lazy. They don't practice as much. They don't look as strong when they play a couple matches. But when the big tournaments roll around, they really grind down and they get back into true form. And it's a great team. Like, there's a ton of really good players on LGD. Like, you just let it slide because they don't get top performances. But when you look at their roster, it blows your mind.
So do you think that LGD has something to kind of prove after the Shanghai Major and everything here?
I mean, they're the best, some of the best players in China. I think
they
definitely do.
Have something to prove.
Yeah.
Like, all these players have their own individual storyline. Xiao coming back. He wants to solidify his legacy as one of the greatest captains in the game. Aggressive, hailed as the best carry in China. September, new player, needs to really prove himself. All these guys have a little bit of a chip.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Maybe he's seen as, in a lot of cases, one of the best mid players in China as well, and he hasn't really had a super good finish just yet. He's gotten close a few times, but finally he's on a pretty star-studded roster. They definitely should perform well, but walking into the tournament, they didn't look too good.
Yeah, okay. And the final two teams I want to get your thoughts on are two similar teams in similar positions that have taken players from each other, which is Evil Geniuses and Team Secret, both in the lower bracket incredibly. I say incredibly because of the quality of the players that they have on their rosters. But neither are gelling, neither are clicking right now.
Yeah, like I said about LGD, they're one of the teams that you expect to just always perform well at a major, but this is, the third time in a row now where Secret is on the verge of elimination. The last two tournaments they went on the first round. EG's, this one's a little different for them because usually they hit middle of the pack minimum. They had some misses at Epicenter due to sickness stuff. They got food poisoning, but to see them go all the way down is a bit surprising. But keep in mind, they got 2-1 by LGD in the winner bracket final. Then they went to the lower bracket, and they got 2-0'd by MVP, which was a big surprise. So EG was close. Secret was not close.
I feel like they kind of let themselves, the games from previously just continued on, and it affected them in the series versus MVP because they looked very disconnected and very disoriented from those losses previously.
Absolutely, I agree with Fogt here. If you look at EG in their series against LGD, it was actually pretty close.
Yeah,
they could have taken that third game, and then against MVP, they just fell apart. This is for EG, it's about pressure. It's about that mental game. It's about, can you focus up? Can you only think about the game? Don't think about the crowd. Don't think about all these expectations, and just play your own game. You know how to win, just do it. And that's always been the monkey on some of these guys' backs.
Well, with that said, though, don't you think that for the final set, it's MVP. It's one team that has a very unique playstyle. They're very aggressive. Do you feel like I felt like their picks were a little bizarre? Like they grabbed Timbersaw, Carry, for example. There was a couple strength cores on MVP. Maybe they're too focused on countering the early game, and then it didn't allow them to play their normal style?
Well, no, this is, Timbersaw, Carry has been something that they've been developing on their own. It's something that they are comfortable with, and they do know how to play, but it's just a matter of, can you get in the right mindset to play it? Can you get in the mindset that, okay, I believe in my team, I believe in the people that I'm playing with, and I can just focus on my performance, not worry about anything else. And that's the key for them. For Secret, it's really just about chemistry. It's about finding that playstyle that makes everybody succeed, not just one or two members, not just give farm to or priority to one or two cores, but try and lift the team as a whole.
Yeah, they really need to find a full balance between all of them, because we do see like it's just like that something is just not clicking properly. There's not enough on the map for all these players. They need to find a way to fix it just by changing it up a bit.
They're probably fine. I'm sure they read that Reddit thread, so they know all the solutions to their problem, so they should be good.
Navi's booth is pretty close by, you know.
Okay.
I'm going to ask some friendly advice from them.
What do you do when it's not looking good going into the tournament? That's what they should ask them, because Navi apparently found the secret.
Yeah, it's on their website too.
Double pun.
Double pun.
Like it.
I didn't do that on purpose, but thank you.
I mean, honestly though, just talk about the farm situation in particular. Charlie mentioned he doesn't think it's necessarily that it's the priority with farm. We've spoken about the three guys playing and always needing farm to be able to play in the game. Folk, do you agree with that assessment, that it is farm orientated as well as perhaps chemistry as well?
Yeah, I think it's definitely both. It's chemistry, but also they need to find a balance, like I was saying as well, in who is going to be their main space maker, because it's going to be a little bit difficult for Puppy and Pi to really do everything for those three cores. One of them needs to sacrifice a bit of their, I guess you could say maybe a little bit of their ego, and just sacrifice any of their strength and give it to the rest of them.
I think that's the difference, isn't it, when you look at DC, because DC are a similar team in that they've come together at the almost the last minute and thrown these two guys in that were refugees from Secret, but somehow it's working for them. So Purge, when you analyse that, what's the difference between the two teams?
I just feel like DC has a little bit more confidence in what they're doing. I mean, if you're a team that can win best of threes, then that's gotta carry you through. But Secret's just been underperforming for a long time. They've got some of the best talent in the world. That's always going to introduce a lot more ego. Where compared to DC, they're fresh off of getting kicked. That's got to hurt them a little bit. They're definitely more motivated that way. They've got some fresh new talent as well. They're all moving into the same team house. Like it's entirely different things. And I also feel like DC is a little bit more diverse in their strategies. They're not afraid to pick like a Winter Wyvern support and to throw in some of those heroes that might be out of the meta, but they can show when it's actually useful and use it in a good way that wins them games.
Okay, pressure, Charlie. Talk to me about pressure, because when you compare DC, as Kevin rightly points out, they've got two new guys in who come from a superstar team. That's going to buoy the rest of the three in the team. That's going to give them more confidence, and they won't necessarily feel like they're under any pressure to perform. The community certainly aren't ranking them highly, or until we did our power ranks, they weren't ranking them highly. Whereas EG and Secret in particular, the pressure is enormous on those teams. Is that affecting them as well?
Absolutely. At some level, it always does. You're thinking about, what are people going to say about me after the game? What are people going to say about my performance? What is Twitch chat spamming right now? These are things that you have to remove from your mind. And players like Bulba, God, I love him, but he does have that tendency to think about these things. In the past, he used to be a bit of a mess, to be honest. He has improved a lot, but it's still something he has to work on.
Do you think that the Suns fan mansion alleviates some of their stress?
I think the Suns fan mansion has done things to their minds that nobody can ever guess.
Whenever a bad play happens, they just have to think of that one picture of Suns fan that's on all of them. They just alt tab to their desktop and they're like, okay, it's going to be all right. He's watching over us.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Oh, come on, surely. I mean, they already got to a major, right? He's got to be really happy.
It took him 3 tries.
But he hit it.
Yeah, and they guaranteed
and their winner
12
bracket
now as well.
Yeah.
And the winner bracket.
Yeah.
3rd time's the charm.
Yeah, that worked. Okay, let's move down to the lower bracket and talk about some of the teams down in the lower bracket. In particular, complexity, because so far this has been a very poor showing from them, from a team that we've been talking about. I know Charlie doesn't rate them anymore, but I do, and I think they've been on the rise ever since TI last year. They showed us some real verve. They've beaten teams perhaps they shouldn't have beaten. Charlie has, again, he's kind of pointed out why they've done that, but I'm still kind of on the hype train for complexity. And in that scenario, why are they down in that lower bracket?
They just had an insanely hard group, to be honest. I think that it's not too much of a surprise to see them down there, and I'm actually very concerned for them because they're playing versus Wings, which is one of the more, we could say, more bizarre teams, especially in drafting manner and their play, because they're quite erratic. So this best of one is very scary for them, in my opinion.
With that said, though, complexity is not unexperienced with loser brackets, and I feel like they consistently get down in that area and they keep going a couple more games than you expect them. They're one of the loser bracket runners that consistently overperform, and they did quite well at Epicenter. Like Charlie pointed out on the first day, they were beating teams that we now realize are bottom of the pack, but I'm sure that's going to give them some confidence. And they definitely are a team that has tons of chemistry. They all work with each other very well. They've been grinding at it. They live together. They're all very good friends. You can tell. Yep. And that is going to give them some confidence going against Wings.
And they do have, not like, I wouldn't call it maybe cheese strat, but they do have their clever techniques that they do try to apply to the tournaments as well.
With that said, Axe is one of the lowest win rates right now
yes.
in the group stage. So
we'll see. It's a best of one. I'm obviously not sold on Complexity when they got dropped down. It's because they were playing against teams that were just better than them, more skilled. And Wings is an incredibly weird team. If they do beat them, I will give more credence to, Complexity as a whole. But for me, I do think this is still more Wings favored. I think they are more skilled. They should be the better team, and they're a little bit crazy. I expect Complexity to do the same thing that they always do. And
could you describe that in one word?
5-man group
That's
up.
True.
5-man run around the map together.
It's a lot more than one word.
Yeah. They're good at that though. They do 5-man a lot. Definitely true.
More than one map as well. Significantly more than that. Let me put something hypothetical to you, okay? And it is just hypothetical. If Complexity had played any of the other teams in the lower bracket, would you feel like they had a better chance of going through? Bearing in mind, we know they can play, they can mix it up a little bit, they can come up with something a little bit cheesy.
I was talking to Swindle last night, actually, and he came up to me and he said, we're not feeling incredible, but going into a best of one, we feel like we can win 80 out of 100% of the time.
Okay.
Against any team or just Wings?
They said against any team.
All right, I wouldn't say 80 or 90, but I would say yes, they could win a best of one against any team. Definitely. I agree with that.
I would say delusional.
Delusional.
To quote a legend once passed.
Okay. I think what we should do is we should wrap up. We've got plenty to talk about throughout the day, and we're going to have you three here for the first two panels of the day. But first, let's take a look at the schedule for today, because we do have a number of matches. I want to make sure that you understand when those are going to take place. Obviously, it's subject to change because we've got two best of threes to kick things off. We'll start with Team Liquid versus MVP. That's coming right up. Then Na'Vi versus OG. Yeah, okay, the crowd aren't going to react to that one just yet. Wings versus Complexity in the lower bracket. Alliance Mineski. EG versus VGR. And we'll end the day with Team Empire versus Team Secret. Remember, 4 of those teams are going home.
That's absurd.
It is absurd.
It is really absurd to think that right now already. Especially those teams.
Yeah.
Who would expect to see that?
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Which of those 4 go home? Fogged.
Out of all 4? You want to give me all 4?
Yeah,
all right.
I want you to give all 4. we sat around last night talking about which ones we thought were going to win and stuff. So which 4 go home?
I don't want to say it, but I will. I think it's going to be Complexity. It's probably going to go home. Empire is coming out here again, and they won last time versus Secret. So, I'm really going to have to go for Empire again. I think they're going to send Secret home. I was not too impressed with EG or VGR, so I think that's the one that I'm really unsure about. And then, drew a blank.
Alliance Mineski.
Alliance Mineski.
Yeah,
I think that's more of the obvious one. So I believe that Alliance will take the series and Mineski will stay home.
Okay, interesting. The Mineski Alliance thing, we're still split on this, Kevin. We were talking about this yesterday with the Huskar stuff. That if Alliance ban Huskar, we kind of go, well then.
Well, I mean, that's not the only thing Mineski can do.
No, exactly.
They overperformed a little bit at ESL Manila. They did better than everybody thought they would do. I think that could happen again here. It's a best of one. That favors the super aggressive teams, and that's basically Fnatic, Mineski, MVP Phoenix. Those teams can take a best of one off anybody in a lot of cases.
Sure, but regarding Mineski, something that we talked about earlier is pressure. And last time that we were here at ESL Manila, these guys said they hate playing in front of a crowd like this, hate playing in front of their home crowd. It's more pressure. They get nervous. It's more expectations on them to do well. And this is a much bigger stage than ESL Manila, and I think it's not going to affect them positively. I think Alliance takes this. I think Empire takes this, and I do want to give the edge over EG.
Of course you do.
Because
why else wouldn't you?
I wonder.
I think if they get some confidence and they get their system going, they should win. And then the last team was
Complexity Wings.
Complexity Wings.
What are you going to take?
I already said Wings. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Purge?
VGR actually hasn't won a game yet of the tournament.
Nope.
So, and EG
0-4.
almost beat LGD. So, with that said, I would say they have the edge there, but it's still a best of one. Could be the first game VG wins. It would be pretty crazy if all of these upsets happen, like EG out first round, Secret out first round, Wings, Alliance. That's like 70% of the fandom here, easily. Just measuring by cheers earlier, that's most of them.
No, that's like 30%. The other 70% is all Navi.
All Navi, yep.
Yeah,
okay.
is this a scientific statistical
Oh yeah,
analysis
I
here?
took some data there. I
Right.
pulled up it has really good Excel integration, so I could process the data
and
really
some
fast.
sort of sound processor that measures decibel levels?
Yeah, I can promise
Okay.
it's accurate.
All right, okay. So, that would be astonishing, wouldn't it, if we lost those 4?
Astonishing, but not too surprising from the group stage results,
Yeah.
from the way that they were playing.
It's more like a story wow. Like these
Yeah.
teams that
Yeah.
have been winning, even as early as, 3 months ago, going down right away, right off the bat. It's signs of will they get invited to TI? Will those teams just disband, lead into it, and try to play open qualifiers or something crazy like that? Or
Yeah.
it could change a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, Dota is a crazy game. This really just goes to show you that nothing is ever for sure. Like, EG's been winning forever, Secret's been winning forever. Dynasties don't last forever, though. You can never keep up that level of intensity, focus, and dedication. It wears on you, and it's incredibly difficult to do, and then relationships wear down as well. People rise and fall all the time.
So we've had 5 internationals. We've had 2 majors. That's 7 Valve events. This is the 8th Valve event. We've had a different winner every one. Are we finally going to see a repeat winner?
There's a chance.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
It could be newbie.
It could be OG as well.
Oh, for a Valve event?
Yeah,
Sure.
for a Valve event. Just
For
a
a Valve
repeat
event,
Valve
yeah.
event.
I think the favorites for me are still Liquid. Newbie could win. I guess the repeat winner would be Shao 8.
Also possible.
Yeah. Puppy.
Or How if Newbie wins. I could see LGD doing well with Shao 8 as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could happen. That's
Yeah.
like 4 teams that are
Yeah.
pretty likely
And
to
I
get
was just
guaranteed.
talking teams, not players, because of course there is a player.
Well, I mean, you could take all the players here and like imagine teams from the past that have won tournaments. Like Nubia alone has like 3 or 4, 3 of the players that won TI, but they're spread now, and there's a lot of examples of that.
All right. Thank you very much to all 3 of you. We're going to be talking more to you in just a moment, of course, because we're moments away from our first match of the day. So, ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats because here come the teams.
Silent but deadly, much like their team captain Kuroki, this is a squad of reserved players with a formidable playstyle. Hyper-aggressive against even the stiffest opposition, they overwhelm their enemies. They are the European team of the moment. They come to Manila on the back of 3 consecutive grand finals. They are the definition of all for one and one for all. From qualifier hopefuls to direct invite material, they have single-handedly put Korean Dota on the map. Tempo controllers, these players are incredibly fast-paced, built around the talent and flair of QO. They are relentless, trained assassins in swift execution.
Well, teams are there. They are in the stage. They're in the house right now. We'll let them get ready in the booths. And whilst they do that, we'll cover both teams and their lineups. We'll start with the MVPs. Let's take a look at their lineup, and we'll talk about MVP and their rise from last year. We said at the International last year that it was such a great run. We saw March in tears. Couldn't believe how far he'd come. And that man must be sitting there very proud right now.
Yeah, I think the best part of that story is that it's not even the same MVP, really, because they had two teams at TI. The interesting part was that Jarex, who's playing on Liquid, was the other team. So it's got to be tough to play against his old roommates.
And not even just that. I feel like it's like Jarex and Heen versus the other MVP players which they play, which was
right.
MP and Forev. So Heen, of course, is the coach
Liquid.
now for Liquid. And then we have Jarex versus MP and Forev, like we were saying. So I feel like it's like, this is kind of like a battle of 2 versus 2.
Yeah,
these guys are
of the minds.
all incredibly familiar with each other. And back when you're talking about March, like, I think that's another great storyline. He must be so proud right now. But like, to think how far his squad that he built has come, and to think about where he started in the beginning. You know, he was actually going to be at TI1. He was going to take Universe's spot instead, but he declined, and he thinks about that all the time. When I talked to him at TI5, he was like, maybe I could be where Universe is right now, and when Universe won TI5, and if I were him looking at this team that he built, I'd be immensely proud.
Yeah, he's come through a lot of hardships and done a lot for Korean Dota as well. We're very grateful to him for the fact that we actually now have a Korean Dota team that are competing at the highest level. 12 months ago, that would have been absurd if anyone had said that. They would have said I was crazy, right?
It's good to see, though.
Great to see.
Having a whole other region basically involved is definitely a great thing for the scene.
Yeah. They get thrown into the SEA kind of region right now in Dota. In other games, the Koreans are on their own. They've always got their own region. And I don't know. So I'll ask this with some trepidation of you. Are you on board with the Korean hype train? Is it coming?
It's not coming because it's actually incredible that they were able to field 2 teams last TI, because there's probably less than like 10,000 Korean Dota players in
I'd
their
be surprised if there's 10,000.
That was a really generous 10,000. There's not that many. They all play League of Legends. They don't want to switch over. It's just not something that they care to do. So when we were there the whole time, we had trouble even filling seats in the crowd. Whenever there was a finals, they would give them like Steam Cash equivalents to come fill. And I don't even think those guys played Dota. I'm pretty sure they just played FIFA or something else.
But I will throw in, I'll check that with you. But it's coming. It is coming because there are stories. March has been building this thing, and one of the other players that stands out is Febby.
Yeah.
When you have players like this, you've got to aspire to something, right? Like in the UK right now, who do we have?
OD Pixel?
Rhyme?
Bisa?
Rhyme and Bisa?
The only time we get to the final of anything related into Dota right now is when I'm hosting and OD Pixel is commentating. It's like we need more players, right? So we're doing things in the UK to try and help, and I think Korea has done that same. They're already way ahead of that, right? And you've got players like Febby who've got these, just incredibly aspirational stories. Surely that's where it starts, isn't it? Aspire to be the best.
It's over in Korea, I think.
Oh, Purge, come on. Charlie, give me
I think
something
these players
Wait,
are great.
Wait. You're looking at me for optimism? I'm sorry, I gotta agree with Kevin here. I think Dota in Korea's got a long way to go. It's not just about having like a top team playing at the highest stage. It's also about infrastructure. It's about culture. It's about so many other things beyond just. I mean, they help. Believe me, they help a lot. And if they win TI, if they win these events, I mean, they have a lot of plans in the works. And God, I hope it works out for them because I'd love to go back to Korea again. But they got a long way to go.
Yeah.
Okay. A long way to go, says Charlie. Someone who's had a long way to go over the last couple of years is one of the team on MVP. It is Febby. So, I'll tell you what, if you aren't aware of the story, you will be. Oh, apparently, actually, we're going to hold that one. We're going to hold that one for a little while because I want to share that with you at some point today. It's very, very special. But instead, let's take a look at the mid-roll comparison because we're going to check these two teams. It's going to be Liquid versus MVP. And one of the key matchups is QO versus Fella.
This is a super interesting matchup because these guys are actually almost completely opposite players with the way they play. Kyo is incredibly snowbally, takes a lot of the focus on himself. He is, in many ways, the carry of his team. Plays the TA, plays the very farm-oriented mids, and then Fada, on the other hand, he is not the star. He is the linchpin. He's a very stable mid. He doesn't overextend. He doesn't push his limits. He plays very stable Dota, and it's going to be really interesting to see how these two guys clash.
Yeah.
With that said about him not being the carry, he consistently has carry level farms no matter what hero he plays. It's actually incredible how often he gets tons and tons of farm. And I think the other cool thing about this matchup is that sometimes QO isn't even playing mid. He will switch to carry sometimes. They could put MP mid. MP played mid in Korea like for a year and a half or so. He was always one of the top players, just like QO. So the mid matchup could be a little diverse sometimes.
Yeah, it's like Chad was saying, they're very different players, and you can look at the stats and you can kind of tell that. We know that QO tends to be maybe slightly too aggressive from time to time, and you can tell. You look at his average deaths, and it's quite a lot higher than Fada, who plays much safer.
And sometimes that bites them a little bit. They had a couple of games during the tournament where they were way ahead. They had been out being more aggressive than their opponents and getting kills for it, but other times they dive past and things don't go quite well. And that's because they're all on the same page, so when somebody dives, they all go. And you don't always have as much time to consider, is this really the right time to go aggressive? Do we really initiate on the hard carry lifestealer, who's pretty hard to burst down?
But that's what makes them great. It is a double-edged sword, but if you change that about them, they'd be a completely different team, and I think a worse team. The thing that you're scared about when you face MVP is that they do play so fast. They just go in on you. They just run at you 5-man all the time, and you have to be ready for that. If you know that they're not going to do that, if you sense hesitation in them, they become a weaker team.
Okay, talking about ready, players are almost ready for the draft, which means we need to get predictions. And I don't want to be too rude about this, but guys, you've sucked so far.
I got a big 0 off 2 matches.
Good,
you know?
yeah. So we'll start with Charlie.
I got points.
Those were the Navi matches, though. We all failed on those.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, but
okay, so Charlie.
I'm not at 0.
Charlie, Liquid or MVP for the series?
I'm going to take Liquid. When I've talked to them, they're really confident about going up against MVP. They know how they play. I don't think they've lost a match, actually, against MVP. So I'm taking Liquid.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Liquid as well. I think if they show up the way that they did at the group stages, I think MVP will potentially take a game from them. But if we see Liquid at their true potential, I think it's going to be pretty much clear 2-0.
Yeah, I think Liquid definitely has the upper hand here in multiple ways. They're one of the best teams at outplaying in team fights because they are so individually talented. And I think that's what you need to be able to take an edge over MVP. But even going into the late game, MVP could come back because Liquid is playing a little bit more farm heavy right now, and our MVP is always aggressive. They might pick off enough cores to win a game. So I think 2-0 is likely, but it definitely could be a 2-1, or maybe there's a, I don't know, 15-20% chance that MVP could actually 2-0 this or 2-1 it in the other way. It's definitely a possibility. Could go both ways.
I mean, despite the fact, right, are we going to let him get away with that?
That was not fair.
I picked, I said Liquid.
He's still kind of hedging.
I feel like when you guys are like 2-0, 2-0, I have to be like, MVP
done
will win
with
this.
I'm done with Purge. I'm done with him now. He's done. Let's take a look at the social media predictions and see whether they agree with that 3 panelists who've all gone for Liquid. On Twitch right now, Team Liquid are 69-31.
I was explaining the 31.
Okay, you were explaining the 31?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. The 15, didn't you?
I'm still
I
not
wouldn't
letting
give
him
it
get
that
away with it. And and Twitter predictions have it slightly higher in favour of Team Liquid right now, 73-27. So is that about right, Charlie? Got to figure that's about right.
No, I think it's a little bit closer than Twitter. I think it'd probably be about maybe 60-65 in favor of Liquid.
I agree.
It really depends on, I think, how well MVP is prepared for this match. I know Liquid is prepared really well. They have a great system, but I want to see MVP be a little more cerebral with their approach to this match. You know, adopt the same play style, but maybe think about it a little more. Think about your picks. Think about what you're doing.
Okay. We talked a little bit earlier on about the impact of Heen in particular as the coach. Blitz also the coach on Liquid as well. But having that knowledge, that inside knowledge of MVP and then not working the other way around, is that going to play a factor here, Charlie?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I would say right now Liquid probably has the best support system out of any team here. 2 coaches, a great manager, and a really storied organization behind them. I think, and they've won so many times. They know what it's like. They have a great way of approaching these matches, how to prepare, what they do the night before, how they not only like the routine that they go for, but just also how they think about scrims, how they think about practice. It's not just like going through the motions of you know, I'm going to practice this hero over and over again. It's I want to practice to learn. These scrims aren't worth it unless I go in and I learn something new about it, learn something new about the meta or myself or the team or how to play the game. And there aren't that many teams approaching scrims with that sort of mentality.
Is the difference? almost like the blueprint, if you like. Is the blueprint coming for Dota 2? Because it's taken a while for coaches to come in, and now we've got 2 coaches on the team. I know that Liquid in the past, in other games, have used a life coach, they've used a psychologist, they've used a masseuse even in their teams to try and help their players. So are Liquid redefining the blueprint?
Look like 2-3 years down the line, what Liquid's doing right now is going to be commonplace or even behind. Teams are going to be constantly improving their support system, constantly improving their practices, constantly improving their habits. What we're seeing now is just the beginning.
Okay, draft is underway. We are into the first 4 bans of the day. Nothing crazy in here, although there is a bristle.
Well, I think the most interesting part is that IO got banned and Bristle. Both teams have been using IO a lot lately, and that may be reflective of Heen going over to Liquid, taking that strat that was in a lot of ways perfected by MVP, the Bristle IO.
Most picked or banned hero in the entire tournament is out first.
Yeah, I think this is because MVP Kuro's finally gotten his wish. He got a team to first ban that Lycan. They've picked it for Matumba Man so many times, and I think Phoenix is scared of it. And what is this?
Okay, protects him against jungling Beastmaster, so kind of offsets the potential that Beastmaster would get as a 4 position.
But I feel like Liquid tends to actually just put it for the most part on the offlane.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a mind control Beastmaster. You don't really see Jerax play this very much, if at all.
Yeah, he's a much more aggressive player.
This isn't a Jerax hero. I think this is a mind control offlane Beastmaster.
I like this though, because like what you were saying, MVP needs to be a bit more cerebral about the game. And I was actually expecting them to first pick the Lifestealer and the Darkseer, because that's pretty much what we've been seeing constantly. And now this time, I guess maybe the adjustment, because they see the Beastmaster coming out, they know, we're not really going to, I don't really think we're going to see Liquid take Darkseer and Beastmaster on the same team.
Now, if you think Bounty wasn't banned, do you think it would have been a Bounty 100% instead of Ricky?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially with what we've seen, what we saw at the group stages, 100% win rate. And
out of 7 games, which is pretty good considering how many games there were.
22 assists per game. Just decent.
Pretty good.
Just half decent.
Average.
It's all right.
It's all right.
This one I feel is a bit more outside the box, but it's not something that Liquid hasn't been doing. We saw them do this at the group stages when they were playing. I think it was 2 times against the Darkseer though, so they really want to secure their safe lane with this AA.
I don't think this is uncommon at all.
Really?
I think Kuro has really been liking this hero, and the way they play, it allows him to contribute to a team fight anywhere on the map.
Okay.
And Matumba Man does tend to play a more aggressive carry, so once Matumba Man hits like level 6 or something, he can go off and start fights elsewhere, and AA can get his level 6 by farming in the safe lane.
It also really offsets the ability of Lifestealer to evade almost every gank. Like, you need something ideally that can stun through BKB. That's why I think Axe has been more popular, despite the win rate being low. You need something that can start the fight on the Lifestealer, you hit him with the Ice Blast, and hopefully you prevent the Infest. And if you do that, it takes a tanky core like Lifestealer, and it hopefully kills him right at the start of the fight. Because if you do that, the fight should be really straightforward.
And I'm glad you brought up tanky cores. This has been something that a lot of teams have been favoring in this meta, is tanky cores. And what's great against that? AA. Cuts right through them.
It's pretty surprising, too, because when the patch started, everybody was saying A is really bad right now. He's just not very useful. They didn't like him.
Yeah, and then
but
people
that was
started
like
picking Alchemist, and then they're like, all right, we got to pick AA,
like,
guys.
oh, this makes sense again.
The ban's not too surprising though. Liquid banning the Darkseer definitely necessary, and then banning the Witch Doctor, of course, it helps Beastmaster a lot, and also we do see MVP pick the Witch Doctor more than any other team.
Yeah.
This is a little weird though, right? Lich, I've seen them play it before, but if you think about it, Lich isn't a very MVP kind of hero. It's very static, not very aggressive. You're only trying to secure lanes. You're not necessarily running at somebody with the Lich.
But he does hit, like, of course, because of sacrifice, he hits 6 really quickly, so they can really invade with it quite early, and we did see them do that yesterday.
Yeah, they did pick in one of the replays we watched.
A couple days ago, sorry.
So we get the Jerax Spirit back.
It also really helps control where the lane position is, and if you have a roaming invis hero, that means that your opponents are more likely to be out of position as they want to get close to the experience wave. So it does, in some ways, allow Ricky to get more lane pressure.
I can't believe that the Earth Spirits actually threw in.
Ooh,
that's a new hero.
There's the Ursa. So that is a new hero. It's the 85th we've had so far at the Manila
like
Major.
this a lot.
And they've played 6 games in the last 3 months with Ursa, won 100% of them.
It destroys Lifestealer.
Not only does it destroy Lifestealer, it destroys Tide as well as with the AA Chilling Touch, which is amazing versus Tide Hunter, but Ursa is one that really uses it at its best because you can just dunk it out right away without having your attack speed slowed.
I feel like they played the Lycan until someone would finally ban it. That's what we said in the group stages, that they would try and do. They would just keep picking it until someone finally banned it, and they always had the Ursa in the back if they needed it.
And now they have this really cool team fight, which is very low cooldown oriented. Ursa doesn't really rely on his ultimate too much. Of course, it's going to be up for all the team fights, but it's not like this massively long cooldown. Earth Spirit, pretty much the same thing. AA, short cooldown. Beastmaster, same thing. And also, the Beastmaster is going to apply to the Ursa because he's going to be able to scout with the Hawk, and he might even be able to sneak a Roshan if they do it properly.
Yeah, the Ursa just countered so much of what MVP is doing. Even in the late game where Ursa normally falls off, like you said, he's the Lifestealer counter. Lifestealer has a bit of low armor. He's pretty weak to single target damage. Normally he out heals. You can't out heal and out damage an Ursa if you're fighting 1v1. It doesn't work. And Tide's going to be pressured in lane. Like, even though Ricky would have been able to roam around, I feel like they can just ditch really early, let Ursa do a solo lane, roam around with AA or Spirit if they want to. Like, their lane pressure is actually looking as good as MVP's is right now, and their cores match up better.
And I feel like this was something we saw them do the other quite a while back, maybe about a month ago, but they had the Earth Spirit and the AA kind of sitting near the mid lane when I think they were versus a Bounty Hunter, I want to say. And the Bounty Hunter, as soon as he revealed himself, Earth Spirit just rolls in dust and they get the kill right away with the AA buff. And now seeing this pick, I think it's just like well-rounded. They have now multiple forms of pushing. They have their actual consistent lockdown, and I think this also attributes to why, because MVP banned DP. This is just another Liquid hero that just fits perfectly.
Yeah, it's hard to gank as well in the mid lane. You've got a lot of armor, so Ricky's going to do less damage. If things get really scary, you stun one of them and run away, and you're going to have that stun offensively as well when the weaker lockdown Earth Spirit and AA roam through in early game. So Ember, ooh.
You got the QO Ember.
Yep.
I kind of like it in the sense that they have to lock down both the Lifestealer and the Ember now.
Yeah.
And because Liquid picked the DK is one of those heroes that just if you pick it for yourself, you enable so many different options for the enemy team. You can pick so many things against a DK.
Okay, thank you very much to all three of you, and we are now ready to go over to our commentary team, and for our first game of the day, it's Capitalist and Wagger.
Thank you, Paul. That's right. We're here in our first game, MVP Phoenix versus Team Liquid. A little bit of mix of old and new. Of course, these two teams have faced up against each other a lot, but the hero to talk about has got to be that Riki.
Definitely. I mean, they're doing something that DC were doing earlier, just playing the Riki Lifestealer. Picking in the first two, though, it feels almost like they're trying to pull attention to, hey, we're picking this. You should do something about this.
It really does, but the panel was really excited, and I think we were too, about the Ursa counter pick, but we'll see what happens as the game is about to start. Team Liquid, one of the tournament favorites, facing up against the Jewel of Korea, MVP.
Team Liquid versus MVP Phoenix.
And here we are. Boys and ladies and gentlemen, Liquid versus MVP. Game number one off to a start is already. MVP Phoenix.
Some aggressive movements here.
Yeah, gonna make their way four-man. Dubu leading the charge with the Riki.
All 10 heroes just going down to this bottom rune. Heavy contest. And it seems they might want to do the Tide safe lane here, MVP.
Try and dodge the Ursa, perhaps, because it's so threatening in lane?
It's a hero you cannot lane against. The Furious Wipes just destroy you. As the analyst panel pointed out, Riki going behind here, going to scout out some, make sure you know where the enemy are.
Getting some information, but Dubu still is going to play it careful, as we can see.
They will avoid any fight here. MVP don't want to contest 5 heroes.
Yeah.
But mind control, of course.
All right, so our bounty runes are going to be traded off. Fauna is going to be facing up against QO in the mid lane. The Ember Spirit is a classic hero for MVP, and QO in particular, it's one of those heroes he can really go off on. It's exciting to see that.
He played it in the group stage. He did really well on it. In the game against Mineski, it was really crazy. The Helm of Dominator mass game. MVP had some interesting series.
And that just leaves our Lich Lifestealer. Okay, so yes, the Tidehunter does get destroyed by that, but isn't there something to be said about Lifestealer not matching well in lane either against the
When
Ursa?
you have a Lich, you can definitely go down here. And if you're Lich Lifestealer against a tri-lane, you don't have to win, and Lifestealer cannot be killed on this lane. I don't think so. Yes, he's not going to farm that easily against Ursa, but he's going to be safe.
Already. We have a little bit of harassment going on in the jungle. You can see our matchups in the laning phase. Of course, the Tidehunter being left completely alone as Mind Control started off in the jungle and is going to start working his way up there now, but Dubu has already been tracking him the whole way through.
Fada is doing a good job on CSing on mid lane. He's got all 4 on the first creep wave here. QO not having as easy of a time.
Is that a little bit of that breathe fire damage reduction impact, or?
Yeah, definitely. And just having that Quelling Blade and Stout Shield, he cannot be harassed early
The
on.
roll in misses. Febby actually sitting too far forward that Jarex actually whiffs the roll in.
Yeah, Febby is the one they have to go on, and they can't play a slow lane. Lich is just going to win that. He can keep spamming, nuking, harassing, so they have to be very high committing when they go Liquid.
So Jarex trying to secure his safe lane first, but unfortunately the rolling boulder not hitting its mark.
More importantly, though, this top lane, we haven't mentioned it yet, but Forev is going to have a very easy time as tied against the Beastmaster, who also came late to the lane.
Yeah,
so
he's going to have that Kraken Shell right against the board, which is really effective by
going
itself.
again.
They're trying to get him. Febby already dropped low enough. One more hit, they got the first blood. Team Liquid finally punish MVP Phoenix for that dual aggro just in time before the Lich starts getting out of control.
Yeah, very nice. This is what Liquid need. They need to get the kills early on. Getting in on Jarex is also really good because he's going to be the roamer for their team. So he has those boots.
That leaves MP alone in lane, which Matumba Man is able to then get some decent harassment, but Lich coming right back on in. Meanwhile, Dubu at the top lane is going to start racking around on mind control. Unfortunately, Forev doesn't have that gush, so they can't really truly go on mind control.
But Dubu just being level 1, it's so hard to fight with that as well. Gush and smoke, and they probably could have killed him, but they will have to wait a little bit.
See what Dubu's plan is here. If he's just going to try and get some harassment. Maybe he is waiting for that level 4 and level 2 on himself.
He got it now.
Okay.
Just got to wait for the gush then. Just Ricky, being a nuisance to the Beastmaster. He is disrupting the pull here, so Beast is not going to get all the creeps pulled.
Well, things started off really well in the mid lane, as you pointed out, for Fada, but now things have kind of turned on its head. 16-3 for QO when it comes to the CS, and Fada a couple CS behind.
The important part is both of them are getting a lot of farm, so either of them could really snowball well in this game, and Dragonite, when it's level 6, I think that's going to be a nice peak timing for Liquid to just go start dealing some tower damage, start looking for kills on Ember.
You can see that bottom lane playing a lot more back now, as they can't really go forward and challenge the Ursa too much.
They can't challenge him, but just passively denying with Lich is perfectly fine. Lich is getting so much experience for his ally here.
But do you think this is something that's kind of dangerous, right? Is the Lifestealer not going to be able to hit the rolling boulder?
It's dangerous, but that's MVP's territory, Cap. They love this.
Well, I was actually, okay, but MP, like Lifestealer not really getting that much farm. Is there something to be said that Lifestealer is very much an early and mid-game hero, and not being able to get the most out of the laning phase is going to slow this hero down quite a bit?
Oh, they're actually fighting on top rune.
Oh,
Mind
wow,
control.
QO, he's going to be able to get the chains. Fada's going to be able to come in, hits the sun. No, actually, Silence comes down. Mind control dropping lower and lower. QO trying to catch up, gets a little bit more burn damage, and they kill him in the end. The breathe fire a bit too late, and QO thinking about turning around as he starts bottling it up. Tubu needs some help. They actually manage to right-click him down. Curl's going to help out a little bit more, get some more damage onto QO, but the chains.
So close to the Dragon Tail as well in the Ember there. That could have been a kill along with the AA.
Still, though, it ends up being a trade-off there, and kind of favorable, would you say, for MVP? I mean, they drew...
As they didn't bring that many heroes,
right.
Yes, that was good for them.
Yeah, they traded Riki for a Beastmaster, and they used less heroes to do it.
Exactly. 2 heroes only fighting against 4 in the end. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and that means the bottom lane, we probably didn't really see much of it, but MVP were probably able to get aggressive a little bit on that Lifestealer, or against the Ursa, and get that Lifestealer a little bit easier CS, knowing that 2 supports had rotated out.
And I want to mention, you talked about Lifestealer not getting so much farm earlier. I think once he gets level 6, he could actually clear this stack that they're creating. There's not that good heroes to clear stacks here. Ursa, AA, Earth, they can't do it. They need to bring in, well, actually they just need to bring in the Dragonite for that.
Yeah. What about looking a little bit further ahead? Roshan control, very important, facing an Ursa. How does MVP keep that out of the hands of Liquid?
I think it's all down to Dubu on his Riki, and he's going to have to be a very preventive hero. Just make sure the enemy spends a lot of time buying wards, spends a lot of time running around and trying to counter him.
Right.
He's just taking attention. Same way that they drafted it early.
This is the advantage of the Tidehunter. Look at him. He's actually sitting really far forward here, completely blocking mind control out from even being able to get in range of experience of this this neutral camp that is clearing through the dire creeps.
At this point, he's almost immortal. I think even if they bring 4 heroes top, he might just live. He could just walk away. So he can play extremely aggressive here against Mind Control.
It looks like a very early mech build for him as well, as he's already got the Arcane Boots plus the Ring of Regen.
It is what everyone really seems to be doing now on Tide. Zhao 8 plays it a lot, always goes for the Mana Boots and mech.
You're okay with that even against the Ancient Apparition? You think mech is just too favorable?
It's still a great item. You just cannot use it at clutch timing.
Kuro. Speaking of Ice Blast, the Ancient Apparition's going to be in serious trouble as he ends up running headlong into Febby, who slows him down long enough for MP, who had a double damage, to be able to easily clean him up.
Very good to get some early kill here. Talking about how he can't find all the farm down here on bottom lane, but now he's uncontested here after getting a kill as well.
Yeah, things are really turning around now that he's got phase boots and such. He's got that movement speed to be able to both try and harass Matumba Man as well as get out if Liquid starts playing aggressively into him.
Yeah, I wonder what timing Liquid are looking for. Probably when they get the Blink Dagger and Ursa if he's going to rush it. They're actually keep stacking here on their big camp. I think that could be a mistake. Sure, they're pulling and denying creeps. Oh, he doesn't stack it. Nice.
It's a rather interesting play. QO going behind the Tier 1 tower and actually tried to grab the full creep wave and drag it up through the Ancients and across to his tower area. I'm not sure if that plan is just to try and limit Fada's CS as much as possible by making him last hit under tower, but I don't think I've ever really seen an attempted mid-pull like that before.
Yeah, but he's not losing any CS. Even if he's under tower, Quelling Blade on Fada, he's going to get most of it.
Yeah.
And he does have level 7 now, so ulti is up and Dragon Tail, of course, as we saw earlier. Gonna go mid, just harassing.
Get some damage on the tower as well as QO. Dubu is positioning himself to see if there's an opportunity to make a go, but of course Fada is probably just simply too tanky.
We've seen some different skill builds on Riki as well. This is going to be a max smokescreen build on the support Riki. Some people do go for the Cloak and Dagger. I don't think he should when you're a support.
Yeah.
The smokescreen AoE is too important.
Jerix manages to snag the rune ahead of QO. Now he does manage to get the chains, but a kick back and a roll away from Jerix gets the distance required. QO didn't even have Flame Guard, but mid.
They're trying to push here, but there's a lot of heroes being brought in.
Yeah, smoke screen trying to slow him down, but
Lich
QO
actually has ulti as well, and he's just hanging back. The fact that he's level 6 already, that is pretty dangerous.
Maybe waiting for Liquid to get too aggressive. Ferev actually the TP in from Matumba Man, and Ferev is going to respond with a straight out TP out. As he goes ahead, picks up a few more items, completes the buckler.
400 gold away from the mech, so MVP getting close to a point where they could just team fight a lot.
Wonder if that's kind of his plan. He's just like, okay, I'm going to get my mech guaranteed. I don't want to stay up in that lane. Maybe I'm going to get ganked. Maybe there's some sort of smoke gank coming across. So I'm going to play real defense. I'm going to play with my team. Make sure that we get that mech in the next few minutes before the Ancient Apparition even has level 6.
I'm surprised they haven't stacked Ancients for him a single time. Lich probably could have done it a few times for a Tidehunter. It would give him even more farm. But he's still the most farmed hero on the map, so they're just going for a bottom tower.
We saw Newbie also really do this, is they play along with their Tidehunter very early on and take towers with it, because who's going to challenge a Tidehunter? You don't want to go into a Ravage before the 10-minute mark. That just is a guaranteed team fight loss. Liquid, though, making the correct read with the rotation of Matumba Man as well as Mind Control rather early up to the top lane. They're going to try and trade 1-for-1.
Yeah, Liquid need at least one of their support ultis.
QO gets taken out so quickly.
The Haste Rune on Dragon Knight just going in for a tower as well, so trying to get a trade now. Top tower being pushed, mid tower being pushed. They're reacting to top.
Liquid are actually doing so well to read this Tidehunter rotation and then punish it, both pushing out the top lane, getting the gank on mid, and now pushing the mid tower as well.
They're probably getting this mid tower. Tide cannot be here now, so they're just going to have to give it up.
Yeah, there it goes. Tier 1 tower going to fall. MVP Phoenix are trying to force a fight off of this one, but it's just going to be too late. Dubu obviously has the Lifestealer inside of him, but he's only going to see heroes TPing away. First Ancient Apparition, now Earth Spirit, Fada. Last one they could potentially gank.
And he has a DD Rune again here. DD Rune's spawning a lot in this game. See if they can get an Infest Bomb off. Definitely not going to be able to bring down DK easily, though.
Fada,
they're pinging out the AA. That's who they want.
He's going to...
Oh, he just hit level 6.
I mean, maybe they can still get the, they can still get the Dragon Knight, slowing him down with open wounds as well as the smoke screen. The Ancient Apparition Ice Blast is going to come through with Fada. He's taking his hell of 3-man stuff from Jerix. Now the follow-up silence. QO, he goes into Fada, but he's just going to get ripped to shred if he doesn't jump the hell out. And he barely survives. The Ancient Apparition right-click follows him, but doesn't manage to finish him off. Liquid, They repel MVP Phoenix's address into the jungle.
Yeah, the AA ulti duration wore off before AA's right click reached him, else he might actually have died there. That was really close. And DK, surprisingly tanky, even when 4 heroes are bringing.
Yeah, you could see exactly why MVP really wanted to go past that Dragonite and go straight for the Ancient Apparition. QO going to be the target once again, of course, Fada.
Mind control silently just getting a tower on top lane meanwhile.
Yeah, this is giving the Beastmaster room. Granted, the Tidehunter did shut him down in the laning phase, but allowing him to be able to get a tier 1 tower like that, Mind Control is going to come right back into the game and be on time for his Necronomicons.
Yeah, Matumba just going to Ancient up a little bit with his Mask of Madness. First item. Mask of Madness Facebook's really good for chasing people down.
Yeah.
I do think they need the Blink Dagger at some point, though. When they have Blink on DK and Ursa, maybe after the Armlet on Dragonite, then they can really initiate on Ember and burst them off so quickly.
A lot of what Liquid seem to have is very tanky, hard to kill cores and rather strong reactive supports.
Oh, he's screwed on Ember.
Oh yeah, they could definitely take down Matumba Man because he can't actually get his ultimate off underneath that silence. And now QO's going to go for more. Jerix manages to put himself into the trees, rolls out, and does manage to get the TP away before QO can catch him. Mind Control, meanwhile, hide himself in the trees. MP, he's spotted Fada.
Some high aggression in this. Yeah, MP with his Armlet. He wants to keep fighting. They still have the Ravage available.
They can still bully another tower.
But I think the issue is this Beastmaster on top lane. He's going on Ember.
The roar, Necronomicon, a very early one at that, and QO jumps away and barely manages to survive, it seems.
He's going to be fine.
Won't take him out.
Going to be fine, but has to back off.
Now mid, Matumba Man has already jumped in. They're going to look at, oh, they get off the Ravage. That's on 2. Matumba Man, though, managed to get off the range, and his tanky is all hell. He's soaking up a lot of this damage, and they still haven't managed to finish him off.
Oh,
meanwhile, the kick comes through. Hits on 3. Flame Breath goes through. They still can't finish off Matumba Man. Meanwhile, the Earth Spirit ultimate is doing so much damage over time. MP is probably going to take out. It can't get the Infest in time. A roll forward. Dubik going to be the target. Manages to get off his ultimate. Stall things up. They get the dust, though. Jumps away to the Tidehunter. Manages to evade potentially as the kick comes through. Another jump. Not going to be able to make it out. Ice Blast over the top. Dubu dodges it. The dust is going to wear out soon. 1 more second. No, can't make it out. Double kill for Jerix. QO, he gets to roll in. Girl's going to be the target. Manages to pick him up, but he's going to be slowed down. Jumps over just in time before the cold fake can proc. QO now has to run himself away. His Fada is too much to handle, but look at top lane. A tier 2 already down. Tier 3 being threatened by a Beastmaster at 13.5 minutes.
That's a lot of stuff happening really early in this game. Both teams want to take control. This Beastmaster's getting too much farm, though. Already having that Necro 2.
They really need this kill on Fada, but he's already playing defensively enough. Maybe they can grab him, though.
He doesn't have much mana on Q.
Yeah, he can't afford to use his chains, otherwise Fada might just be able to TP out. They have no stuns otherwise.
Yeah, he wouldn't even be able to slide of his chain there. No mana for it.
So another missed opportunity there for MVP Phoenix, as Liquid seem to be addressing the MVP Phoenix's style of super aggression, a lot of 5-manning by picking up some heroes that are hard to gank, some really good reactive supports, and then on top of that, just superior movement around the map. You can't really argue with that. The fact that they managed to take up the tier 1 and tier 2 at top lane with a Beastmaster, Mind Control is now fed as all hell, as he's got Necronomicon too.
Looking to smoke now as well, get more stuff done. They have the ultis available. Dragon Form is coming up as well.
This is the
Liquid
Roshan
moving
that
out.
we were talking about. Liquid, if they manage to get a successful gank here, they can immediately go to Roshan. And he got silenced! Primal Roar doesn't stand a chance, and MVP now going to have to play this one 4 versus 5 if they look to contest Roshan.
They're definitely going there as well. This Necro Book and Beastmaster are going to make it so fast along with Ursa.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way MVP Phoenix can contest, but you know MVP, they're always going to look for an opening.
Yeah,
but
just
this
10
time,
seconds on the Ravage. It's too late.
Yeah.
Just marginally.
Oh, silence. Now a kick.
They're
the
coming.
follow-up there is going to be there from Fada. They have the Ice Blast as well. QO might get popped. No.
2 seconds
Managed
cooldown.
to make the
He's
jump away for Rev. He has the Ravage. MVP going to start grouping back up together, but this time around there's the Aegis on Matumba Man. I don't think they want to take this one. Matumba Man's going to put himself on the front lines here, daring Liquid to try and ravage him while he has that extra life. He still has the enrage. Actually now smoked up. Rev now challenging the rest of Liquid while they are going to be able to take away that first life for Rev. He popped the Ravage, doesn't have much else, create a lot of space. Sure, now they're going to jump forward. They're actually separating the team from the rest of Matumba Man as QO tries to go for the Beastmaster, able to lock him down, but not enough to finish him off. Dragonite TPing away, will be successful. Matumba Man trying to chase down the Watermelon. Forev can't run fast enough. Bring around the Rose, he goes for the strings, and he's out! Matumba Man dead, and MVP Phoenix look for more. Jerix blocked out, TP away, barely in time.
The Lich, his Nova was just barely cooling off there, so close to getting that kill as well. MVP taking a really nice fight there.
Unbelievable. The plan from both teams kind of makes sense, right? Matumba Man challenges MVP Phoenix and says, I'm going to try and kill a hero. You're going to have to Ravage to stop a bit. But Forev, with the better play, challenges the rest of Liquid and separating them from Matumba Man.
It's just so good because they have great counter initiation on Liquid, the AA ulti, the Earth Spirit, but he just stopped all of that by blinking in super aggressively. I love the way he uses his farm in this game.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I love the fact that MVP Phoenix didn't have the communication. Don't try and go for Ursa the second time around. He's going to be sitting there. He's actually, he's not going to be that mobile. So let's just run at the rest of Liquid and see if we can fight them 5 versus 4.
And we were worrying earlier, is Lifesteal going to hold up well against the Ursa? But right now, he's above him in net worth, and that's what it's going to come down to. If you're getting farmed on Lifesteal here, you could definitely carry quite well against him. The slow is so good. Open wounds against Ursa.
7-7, 17 minutes in, a relatively even game as MVP Phoenix's core is looking rather healthy. As unfortunately, Kuro seems to have crashed his computer, but that's all right. That gives us a little bit of a pause to take a look at the metrics. As you can see, our gold grass and experience grass are rather even. MVP Phoenix off of that last fight, up by 3K experience.
Yeah, and I want to take a moment as well to mention MVP's warding. They have super aggressive wards, 2 wards on the enemy top side, and they have 1 ward just watching over the mid lane for rotations from Liquid as well. I would love to see him get into the enemy jungle and drop 1 there, but we'll see if Ricky can get there later on.
Yeah, it seems like part of that is the fact that they never took that tier 1 tower top. Now, of course, it's a Tidehunter. There's nothing really Tidehunter can do to promote that, but it did mean that with the tier 1 tower still down, they had to keep that ward up.
Teams are ready again, and we are heading back into the game. As QO is ready, Kuro is ready.
All right, so what are we going to be seeing here now? As MVP Phoenix, how much do you feel like, what are the tempo swings on this game? Should MVP Phoenix still be trying to play aggressive before Liquid gets a little bit too big on, because I feel like Liquid is going to have the bigger peak in the mid game.
I think MVP Phoenix should keep fighting right now. Sure, your Ravage is very important and you should try and play around it for big team fights, but when the Necro 3 is coming up, and it's coming up very soon, then they have to be wary. Ricky is going to get punished by this true side from Beastmaster.
Right. And then you have some Liquid cores that scale rather well. They've already found 1 of these aggressive wards from MVP.
Maybe kill him.
Maybe, but Matumba Man.
They're going to try.
Get the right kind of smoke follow-up. The Mask of Madness unfortunately dealing too much damage. Matumba Man is taken out before he manages to get off the Enrage. Out from underneath the smoke screen.
Yeah, normally you get the Enrage and the Mask of Madness, and it doesn't really matter for Ursa, but here, smoke screen just counteracting him completely.
Now, we said that was the idea, right? That Liquid, spread themselves out. They try and win through movement in this game, but that is something that Riki, combined with the Lifestealer Infest, is actually a really good combo of punishing, because you can freely run through the jungle and scout out these heroes that are naturally going to be farming neutrals if Liquid are going for max efficiency.
Definitely. And Lifestealer going into his Sands here. A little bit surprised he didn't go Echo Saber when you have Ricky and ganking alongside him. Extra hits and more slow in that smoke screen is very, very good, but he could even go Evasion against the Ursa if he wants to. Not a bad choice, but probably just going to be a Sanchasha here.
Tier 2 going to be falling here, it seems, as Liquid not going to be getting there
Shadow
fast
Blades.
enough. Fada trying to make the entrance there with a Shadow Blade. As this is going to be the first reveal. Really important. Plus,
so he's running back. He doesn't want to show it on the lane just after a failed attempt, so probably going to go for 1 more attempt. Try and find anyone to pick off, or is he going to clear mid? Matumba probably going to be the one to farm it. Yeah, he's still hiding it, staying out of vision.
Smart. Liquid really need to win a fight and start establishing some control.
Sneaking in again. He's could be running into QO here. He's very close.
If he managed to lead with a Dragon Tail on QO, we could very easily see this guy get popped and
With the AA ulti coming in, they can definitely kill him quickly.
And that would actually set MVP so far behind because right now they're playing QO is super aggressive, as normal for an Ember Spirit, but it does mean that his Battle Fury could get a little bit too delayed if he ends up dying again.
Yeah, all the cores are looking really well farmed on MVP's side right now, though. And I would like to say that the supports are keeping up quite well in this game. I expected to see some of them maybe struggle, like AA can sometimes fall up behind a little bit. But due to a tower gold from the top pushing, Beastmaster contributing so much here.
Yeah.
He's actually doing quite well on his AA, Kuroki.
So what's going to be the biggest peak for Liquid? Is it BKB for the Dragon Knight? You have the Necronomicon 3 and then Blink Dagger for Beastmaster.
We're heading in there soon. I think the timing is, as you say, when the BKB is coming up. I think Ursa needs a BKB in this game. Sometimes you want to go Aghanims, but when you're against a silence like Ricky Smokescreen, you definitely need to go for BKB. And I think the biggest peak is going to be around the 25 to 35 minute mark for Liquid here. And later on, MVP could definitely take it, because they have a lot of heroes that scale well into late game.
One of the very dangerous things about Liquid's lineup is that they're incredibly good at being able to push down towers. They can punish you. After winning a team fight, they can take a tier 1 and 2 in one quick go, or maybe they can even push high ground. That is something that MVP Phoenix need to be able to keep in mind. That's why I like their aggressive wards and their aggressive playstyle so far, because every single one of these fights, it's happening on Liquid's side. So despite the fact that, yeah, they lost the tier 1 and tier 2 at top lane, say they lose a fight right now, take it somewhere in the mid. It's not like Liquid actually be able to immediately take a tower for free, right?
It's a very heads-up way to take the fights. Be a little bit ahead of the enemy in this, just fighting outside their base instead. It's a good point that you bring up, because if they take a fight anywhere close to their base, Beastmaster is just going to shred your towers.
It does also look like Liquid are going to be in really good fighting shape for the next Roshan. And I think the next Roshan is where Liquid establishes all of their controls. So it's, I think, of the utmost importance that in 5 minutes time around that area, that MVP Phoenix do not lose that fight. Because they lose that fight, they lose Roshan, they lose all their outer towers, and then Liquid set up camp, out-farm you for a while, and then push high ground.
Yeah, definitely. That could go down that route. And I also think Liquid, they should be playing around Jarek's Earth Spirits a lot here in the early game. Just use the power that he brings, because later on he falls off quite hard when the damage goes down. Yes, you still have the stun and the silence, but the stun is very slow now, so if not paired with a Blink Dagger or anything like that, it's not too impressive.
Very beautiful teamwork from MVP Phoenix. You guys can't see it, but
they're drawing some hearts.
They drew on the mini-map. They created a sun, a little house, some stars. It's good teamwork, team building exercises right here during this middle of the pause.
Pictionary in Dota.
I actually want to talk a little bit about Riki. This is a hero that has actually been rising up very rapidly in the competitive scene. We saw probably about a month and a half ago it started coming into pubs with the bounty hunters being banned away. Riki would start showing up. People started experimenting with it. And now we see it in competitive play. What are your thoughts on the Riki? And do you really think he's valued that highly?
I think Riki is actually better than Bounty Hunter. It's funny, I was listening to a panel earlier, they were mentioning the win rate of Bounty Hunter in the tournament. I don't think the Bounty win rate in the group stage is something you should focus on too much. It's more about the individual games, and it's not a very big sample size.
Yeah.
So the fact that he had not lost a game in 7 games, okay. If you're up to higher games, then you can care. I got your back now, Haas. But Riki, definitely a hero that can gank well early. That silence makes a massive difference. Some heroes the bounty cannot touch on the mid lane, such as a Puck, for example.
Yeah.
Those heroes, they do nothing against Riki. It's just going to destroy them.
And sometimes the Riki's harassment is even better, just because of the chasing potential from the early Orb of Venom and that amped up Cloak and Daggers.
And he can scale much better into the late game. While Bounty Hunter does give a lot of gold, Riki is going to be a hero that I prefer having in my team.
All right, and away we go, back into the game. So we're about 20 minutes in. MVP Phoenix are looking for the fight as their Ravage has just come off cooldown. They've got every single ability that they need to, but Liquid have just picked up some very big items. The Shadow Blade, Necronomicon 3, and in fact, Liquid are going to go for a pick-off here. If they manage to get QO, this will take all the wind
just the
out
two
of the
them.
sails of Liquid.
They can do it very easily, and they have the Hawk for vision, set down a ward as well just for this kill.
All they need is a Primal Roar, and they got the silence. QO, no mana and no way to run away from this one. Great pick-off from Liquid, and just like that, you're going to see MVP Phoenix unable to continue to look for that fight in the middle lane. They're going to try and cut up
and see if they can catch someone from Liquid on their way back
You also see Kuro, he draws on the minimap just saying, hey, they're probably coming up this way, you better get out, and he was on point with the prediction there.
Yeah, they're doing full wrap around. They're looking into the trees. They're going to see mind control, actually. Body blocking him up. There goes the Gush, and they will be able to get this kill. So a trade-off there. Yeah. I think for some reason they thought they would be able to make that kind of play and continue to either, like Jerix was the one who was in the most obvious position, right?
Yes.
I think they thought Jerix would spot them out and he would be able to get the rolling boulder away and TP out. And if no one does show in 20 seconds time, keep trying to push top because maybe MVP Phoenix are still looking for that fight in the middle lane.
I think they just had to keep a defensive Hawk there and try and use that if they're going to push. They have to back out. Got a little bit too greedy, get punished for it, but it's not as big as the reward they got for their kill. They killed off the Ember, and then they lost the Beastmaster. It's pretty fine for them.
Yeah, we were just talking about how the Ember Spirit is getting into a little bit of that dangerous territory. He's about to pick up the third item of the Battle Fury, and he'll be rather close. He's sitting about 8,200 net worth, so he's kind of right there on that baseline.
With the Shadow Blade, he sees QO.
Yeah, he can get this early Dragon Tail. Will be able to get the first right click. Ice Blast follow-up, but the Silence is going to be able to do a lot. And there it is, the jump away. Now the Ravage follow-up. They're going to go on Jerix first. Manage to get the kick onto 2, but still, they will manage to kill the Lich. Spada, stuck inside the pit, is actually doing a lot there, but unfortunately, QO is going to be able to jump in and finish him off with alongside the Tidehunter, or maybe not. QO gets a huge kick, and Fada stays alive with the help of the Armlet. Now, finally, the Lifestealer comes back into play, targets the Ursa, but the Ursa just pops the Enrage, almost finishing off the Tidehunter, and now it's Riki and Lifestealer, duo up against 4 of Liquid. They will be able to go for Fada here. Another Armlet toggle, another attempt to be able to stay alive, but can't quite make it. Liquid outside the pit, trying to slow down the Tidehunter. Nice silence kick combination, and another Ice Blast. Hello! Able to finish him off. That just leaves the Lifestealer. Rage TP out, trying to right-click him down, but will be able to just barely survive.
Wow.
Tick.
He lives so close there. Second A ulti comes in and turns the fight around.
That, it's a drawn-out fight if there are 2 Ice Blasts.
Also want to point out that Riki, he just destroyed the initiation there, but when Ursa came in, he just brought more firepower for Liquid. I love these fights, just a lot of power coming in.
And it seems like, I don't know, but the Lifestealer focusing on some of the other members of Liquid rather than just rushing straight into the pit and finishing off the Dragonite, it felt like a little problematic that QO was the one to try and go into the pit and try and man up against the Dragonite, and just immediately died.
Yeah, he really doesn't want to fight against him. He wants to go for the back line, he wants to go for AA if possible, so that there won't be a second wave of ulti. But Kuro just staying really safe. He didn't even walk far into that fight. He stayed on the high ground. It's like, I'm not gonna die.
Just a casual observer. He is level 10 now. And, double TP's out. Kuro making the read here that MVP Phoenix
could be smoked up.
Yeah, could be smoked up,
or just
rotating through the jungle. Yeah, even just a Lifestealer gank. So they backed themselves away. Now, MVP Phoenix, that wasn't actually their plan. They grew up in mid, and they're going to smoke and wrap up to top.
Gonna find a present here on the rune spot just before it times out as well. Second rune spawning soon, but no time to wait.
If they keep running, they might be fast enough to be able to catch Matu. They're actually going to go downwards. Maybe Kuro's going to be the target. He starts going up. They see him, spot him out, manage to get the fist into chains. Now the pop out will be able to quickly take out the Ancient Apparition, but here comes the follow-up. They have the Beastmaster locking down QO. Once again, he's going to be completely out of mana, but managed to get the Magic Wand charges to jump himself away. Now Matu challenges for Ed, turn around with a Chain Frost as well as a Gush, slowing him down, and that's just going to keep going around. Ravage, now they're going to be able to go on to Jerix as well, tries to go for the roll, can't quite block him. Way to put himself in a corner and roll on out, but still a big win for MVP Phoenix as Febby sees the opening with that Chain Frost there, and Fareb holds on to the Ravage for so long.
Every Lich's best friend is the catapult when you're against one hero like that.
And now MVP Phoenix able to take the tier 2 as Liquid unable to contest after a nasty team fight like that, and this is beginning to look real dark for Liquid as Roshan is about to come up. They may not be able to contest in time. If MVP Phoenix can get the Roshan in their control, everything changes.
They're going to have to check as well. It could already have been up. It's going to be up so soon. Probably just going to leave Lich to check this.
Febby going to be a bit disappointed. No Roshan just yet. Of course, we know it's only seconds away. Liquid, of course, they're anticipating Roshan to be up as well, so they immediately go for the smoke, not even waiting for Matumba Man to be completely up. He's going to try and show himself in mid before coming to Roshan, perhaps.
Yeah, they have a Silver's Edge initiation here with Dragon Knight. He's walking close, though. Ricky's in the neighborhood.
Ember Spirit jumps into the pit. Will reveal that Roshan is ready to go.
And they're also revealing here Liquid. They were dewarding, so MVP know that they're close.
Liquid can now breathe a bit of a sigh of relief as they see Roshan wander out of the pit at full HP. And Matumba Man continues to go for that farm, but when it comes to the standoff around Roshan, Ember Spirit will always get the better advantage just because his max mobility. He can push out the top lane and still be there for the fight.
He acts very much like a Fury in that regard, so Liquid a little bit pressed here. He could keep going top and just force them to go there. Liquid not going to have any of it, going straight in. They're saying, we're going now.
Yeah, I mean, now without the Ravage, maybe MVP Phoenix can't actually contest. They still have some good Roshan fighting capabilities, such as the smoke screen. And the harassment of QO as well. Fada keeping himself outside
the pit. They kill both Hawks. There's no vision now. Liquid might get a little bit scared here after that, but they're going to kill it off.
They're going to leave Ursa inside the Roshan pit. Will be able to pick up that Aegis. And MVP Phoenix, perhaps wisely, choosing not to take that fight.
Very important for Liquid here. They needed this. If they lost that, would have been really bad for them. They're going for a defusal, by the way, on the Ursa. Almost got it. Closing up. And now with the Aegis, he can really look to be more aggressive in team fights.
Now, at this point in time, MVP Phoenix have a choice to make. Do they fight against this Aegis? Do they, and where do you fight? Do you fight around the tier 1, tier 2?
Oh, it's getting slowed up here for the aggressive blink. It's going to be fine with the Kraken Shell.
Managed to get the tier 1 tower. The rotation across from Fada, both in Viz heroes, right on top of each other. But like ships in the night, they pass right by each other without the other noticing.
I think with the pipe, MVP can still look to fight even into Aegis. It all comes down to, do they get the initiation, or is it just going to be Beastmaster and Earth Spirit rolling on them again?
And Liquid, they apparently agree with you. Fada TP's up to the top lane and pushes that out, and the rest of Liquid pull back from bottom and start clearing through their jungle.
Yeah, stay safe. I think the next big item for Dragon Knight is going to be important for Liquid. I wonder if he's going to go straight for a BKB or if he wants to go for some damage item. He does have pretty good DPS right now, Silver's Edge and Armlet. But I think against this team, you just have to go BKB at some point.
Yeah, I agree
Lich,
with you.
Tide, Smoke, Ember.
Yeah, the Smoke particularly seems a primary reason why Liquid would need that magic immunity.
And QO, he's getting a lot of farm done right now, and he's probably heading into a very early Linken's after his Battle Fury.
Yeah. Able to deal with that Primal Roar a bit better. Now, he still has to play a bit scared because of Jerix. That's an AoE silence, so that'll be able to cut right through the Linken's, no problem. So that can still be a form of initiation for Liquid that he has to be aware of.
They do have Force Staff on Febby, though. Lich can always be there to bail you out if you get caught out. And the Pipe and the Guardian Greaves, I think they have enough tools to save him if he gets caught off by that.
Oh, okay, MVP. They might love to take a fight around that Arcane Root. No, they're going to give it up to QO. I thought for a second maybe Forever would pick it up, see if they could get an early Ravage, but not the case here. Liquid, they're dancing around MVP Phoenix anyway. They're staying pretty grouped up, but they're rotating across the map, staying outside of reach of MVP every time.
If you ever played Lifesteal, you know there comes a point where you wonder, how long am I going to keep trying for this Infest gank? He's been running around a long time with Ricky now, and that's time that he's not spending farming. Granted, he is keeping up very well with the net worth, but maybe he could have been ahead now if he just kept farming a little bit more. Liquid dodging them really well.
He just seemed to be giving everything to QO and leaving MP inside of Dubu just in case they do run into a team fight that they could win. And that usually is the way that MVP seem to think about the game. It's just always about that next team fight.
Here goes MVP Smoke, trying to go up and find Liquid as we see them in the enemy jungle here.
Yeah, they absolutely know that Liquid's inside of their own jungle. Ooh. They've cleared through enough of the map.
MVP drawing a nice line. If they go along this, could be great for them.
Yeah, this Ravage initiation could be big. Dubu, he's going to be able to see the ancient apparition. Man Ravage! The follow-up smoke screen as well as controlling so much of Liquid, and they're going to take it on 3. But Matumba Man, he needs to be able to get out of here, but he's probably going to get controlled up, and this is the Aegis as well. He could probably just die twice as a big bash comes out from the Lifestealer. Matumba Man, you ain't going nowhere. Let's see if he can manage to get the blink out. Not in time.
4 for nothing there. Perfect by MVP. Their smoke and their idea of where to go They see enemy mid, but they say no. We need to go on the back line, need to find the AA. It's really, really crucial. And they got the dream catch right there.
Absolutely.
AA and Earth Spirit and Beast.
I think a bit of the problems there was Liquid not setting up with counter wards and certain entry points if they're going to be sitting inside that entire jungle all grouped up.
Definitely.
The Riki able to get that early knowledge and, of course, setting Forev up for the perfect Ravage.
They're
now,
just going now. They know 25 seconds is a long time for this Ursa. Probably going to back up before he respawns though.
Yeah, blink away just before the Beastmaster's up.
That damage onto a tower though, that's really what makes you able to push high ground later on. Doing one little prep push like this. So next time they come around with Aegis, for example, it's going to be really easy.
So once again, MVP Phoenix, off of a team fight, have managed to grind themselves a pretty healthy lead. And that's going to continue to grow as heroes like Ember Spirit should be able to outfarm others.
That means they pick up a secondary 4-staff as well, so both their supports on MVP right now, Lich and Riki, are able to disjoint these initiations. It's a great way to react to Beastmaster and Dragon Tail stun.
Yeah, I really like that. Dubo also gives him a potential little help and an escape when he goes for that. When he gets dusted up or something, he goes for that, goes for the ult, and then is able to, as soon as it's down, go for the 4-staff on himself and maybe be able to jump after that.
Or even something like a Blink start first and then 4-staff afterward. You can create a big space between you and your enemies.
Yeah, that has routinely been the biggest problem about the Riki going into the mid game, is that his damage may not be that insane when he pops into that Tricks of the Trade, but you still want to get that kill, and he's so damn jumpy.
I'm very surprised by this build coming out from Dragon Knight here. Reaver, actually, so he has a ton of strength. He's super strong, but against a Lifestealer, I did not expect this build.
Yeah, maybe he figures his mass armor, he's up to 35.
I think this could backfire.
Extra,
not having BKB against the team of MVP could definitely backfire if they don't get the proper fight for them.
That's true.
He could just get caught out now.
Perhaps banking on the fact that he imagines he'll always get the initiation.
QO. Look at this cheeky player. He's like, I'm going to keep hitting the tower.
Drawing him away, getting some damage out before leaping away.
Of course, having that Linken's, he feels pretty safe. And he knows that Jerax just, he's not there in the neighborhood. But Jerax has that Blink Dagger though. Blink in stun or Blink in silence. He has to worry about that, even if he has his Linken Sphere.
Yeah. You're going to see both sides map control going to be start dwindling here as they both have a gem. Forev's going to be carrying it on the Tidehunter while Jerax has the gem for Team Liquid.
I like how Liquid have 5 wards down right now. They're actually just stockpiled up and put down a ton of wards.
Uh-oh. This vision is up. They're waiting for Febby to get it over here, but now the initiation is going to come from Liquid just at the right time. The smoke screen is going to be able to stall things up, but they do manage to get the stun out. Now the Ravage hits onto 3. They're going to try and pop the Tumble Man before he gets up to range, but just barely in time. Now the Ice Blast comes in, manages to clip the Lifestealer. That's going to be the next big target, but QO, he's already taken out one, and Fada can't keep up with the Lifestealer. That SNY managing to get him the distance. They're going to turn, take out the Ancient Apparition. It's tanky Fada right in the middle of everyone, but he's just not outputting enough damage. Now the Lifestealer turns, pops the Rage, and eats through the Dragon Knight armor. Be damned, they get that kill.
Oh, they just died outside their base, Capitalist. This is going to be really painful.
MVP Phoenix, they do not have the greatest high ground heroes in the world, but it doesn't matter when you win a fight right outside those tier 3s and have over 30 seconds on the clock to be able to beat on Barracks.
And there's not a single buyback in the side of Liquid, and they have a lot of damage. They have 2 healthy cores here. Lifestealer and Ember easily gonna get this Nullirax. And Febby, he got 1 more full bounce duration there.
How does this guy keep on doing so damn well on a Lich of all heroes? You kind of the joke is, you're just an R button, but damn, those R buttons have been real good.
Yeah, it's really good against Beastmaster as well. You always have something to bounce it on. When the Beastmaster blinks in to initiate, you can just drop the ulti immediately. And if his team wants to help him and follow up, well, they might get caught out.
Matama Man going for Forev here, starts eating through him, stacking up those Fury swipes.
Yeah, the 4 steps. Slide the Tide.
Watermelon will be able to get out. Lifestealer actually now getting a Vanguard, obviously going into the Abyssal Blade. So he can get that guaranteed lockdown. So now when they jump out on, say, Dubu, go for the Infest play, instant stun. And that was a bit of the problem before. Silences were there, but they didn't have the hard disables necessarily.
I'm worrying for Liquid right now because after that fight, they got the pick on Riki before the Tidehunter Ravage came in, and still they lost that fight pretty handedly. It's just not a good sign for them. I think Lich and Tide are winning these fights for them so well.
Another Arcane Rune.
Pretty amazing rune, even for Ricky. Now he has 7.7 second cooldown on that blink, or on that smoke screen. 6 second duration.
That's rough.
It's a very, very strong disable in the AoE.
So I was looking around, I was trying to figure out what MVP Phoenix were going to be looking to pick up next, like why they weren't just continuing to fight and trying to not give Liquid any room. And I see a really big pickup. First of all, the Ravage is still on cooldown. That's obviously quite important. But also the Shivas. Against this team, that armor item and being able to just create additional kiting mechanisms against heroes like the Ursa is going to cause so many issues for Matumba.
It's also just going to melt the summons coming out from Beastmaster.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be very hard for Liquid, and they need to play very, very careful here as they're being aggressive.
Matumba Man. He's going to be kited around here, jump in. Oh, the Infest, unfortunately not quite there, but may still be able to pick him up as they get the Abyssal. And Liquid, they're going to go straight for this Tier 3 tower with the Beastmaster. They were positioning themselves inside their secret shop, hoping to get a pick off. But all they're going to end up doing is actually Lifestealer. He's got another Infest. He jumps right in and will be able to get the Lifestealer close quarters here with the Beastmaster. But no! The Primal Lord, it goes just in time. And with the Ice Blast over the top, MP may actually end up going down. QO! Now the Ravage comes in. They'll take the Ancient Apparition. But Liquid, they've already gotten enough trades that they can manage to get Fada out of this fight. It's going to be a win, but no. The chain stopped the TP, and Fada will end up going down. Liquid.
Slowly, he will die.
Making the best out of a bad situation. The fact that they did lose Matumba Man like that, it was a very smart play. Extremely smart for them to go straight for that Tier 3, put some pressure, forced MVP back, and they still managed to make the following fight actually pretty decent for them just because they killed the Lifestealer.
Yeah, they hit a little bit of an awkward initiation there with a Lich and Lifestealer initiation from MVP.
Yeah.
But I think they're still so far ahead that they'll be fine.
Not again. MVP Phoenix says twice now that they've essentially been in a superior position and look towards Roshan.
The clock,
seconds away.
But they know that it has to be up very soon, so they're going to keep checking it.
But it might be too late. I don't know, 30 seconds left on the Dragonite? They don't have the fastest ways to do it either.
They couldn't kill it until they have Lifestealer anyway. It takes too long. Ember is not a good hero to clear it, and while Ricky does have some DPS, look at his item build. He's not going to be killing off any Roshans.
So this is probably going to be the fight that Liquid have to take that makes or break the game for them. They might be able to claw their way back in if they could win this Roshan fight and still take the Aegis and cheese for themselves. But if they lose it, MVP Phoenix just go right down and take barracks again.
I think this has to be one of the fattest liches that I've seen in a while. Febby has Blink, Yule's Force Staff. He's just casually strolling around doing everything. And I think he has been buying most of the wards as well. Ricky is not buying that many of them.
Yeah, Ricky obviously usually much more of like the 4 position and farm priority just because you can start getting some actual damage from him. But
I mean, he has 3 CS, and I'm pretty sure most of those were wards.
No Hawk Vision today, Liquid. They start setting up for Roshan. They may be doing something similar here for outside of the pit while Matumba Man solos it.
I don't think MVP want to give this away for free, though, even if they don't have Ravage.
Maybe this is the one time. Oh,
blinking in.
Blink in, Force Staff out.
Taunting them.
Febby just getting a bit of information about the Roshan and how low it is. Now, jump in here for the Tidehunter. It's going to draw some attention. Ancient Apparition already going down. He managed to get up the in-range ahead of the smoke screen, but Matumba Man rapidly running out of time. It gets bashed up. Now, again, the Chain Frost bouncing around that will be able to surround Fada, the tankiest hero in the game, but it just doesn't matter. Up against the 5 of MVP Phoenix, they'll take another winning team fight and take a Roshan for themselves. The first one of the game.
This is really what I worried about when they started buying this hearts. It's not working in any of the team fights. Yes, you live for a long time, but your team doesn't. And then you're alone, you're fat, but you're gonna be killed.
I mean, there are even issues of if the silence isn't enough, Jerix, unlikely to be able to roll a rake here. Tries to go for the kick, but tricks of the trade, finish them off, and that's gonna be Gem on the deck as well. But part of the problem is it's not just the silence, but also the miss rate. The Dragonite is also not outputting any damage. A quick suicide there from Mind Control.
Wait,
some sort of
Mind
crazy
Control
attempt.
actually got, he actually killed the Roshan.
Oh, well done.
And
All
he
right.
killed the Aegis, got the Aegis as well.
Well done.
So that's amazing.
Okay, that's insane. I can't believe Mind Control just managed to pull that one out, but very well.
Well, Mind Control is a pretty insane player. He can play any position really well, of course. This game, I just want to mention, I think I had Matumba Man down as one of the players with the most kills in this tournament probably, because that's normally how his games go. Look at him in this, 1 and 10 on the Ursa. They've shut him down so hard.
Jesus, a nasty record for Matu. Not used to that one. Top 3 net worth, all MVP Phoenix Heroes, and it seems pretty much all but over for Liquid here and their chances of game number 1, as they're going to have to play the high ground defense amazingly if they hope to be able to come through against MVP Phoenix. And even then, the late game still looks good for MVP.
Oh, they're TPing in top. This could be disastrous as well.
They get the chains onto Matumba Man. Quickly Diffusal Blades himself and tries to run out. Will be able to get away from that smoke screen, but already half HP.
Of course, Lich is max level, so only 60-second cooldown on, or max level ulti. He's gonna have it soon. But yeah, I don't see how Liquid can take any of these team fights. Yes, you have AA and Earth Spirit, that's great control. Beastmaster for initiation, that's fine. But the 2 cores that are meant to carry them, that are meant to bring damage, they just get destroyed by Tidon there.
Oh, Fada actually comes in. Ravage Engine goes out. They manage to catch Fada as well. Mind Control on the back, who's going to be the target. MP managed to bash him down immediately. Now turns back to Fada as Matumba Man tries to get some damage out, realizes it's going to be futile, and runs back to the base underneath the cover of what was once a tier 3, not so much anymore. The Force Staffs come forward. Ice Blast does land pretty good.
Good Ice
Matumba
Blast.
Man challenges MP. They're trying to finish him up.
Oh,
The
the
Infest into
Infest.
Febby with a blink out. He manages to make the escape rope away, and Forev going to be the next target, but he's so damn tanky. He's got so much armor. Oh my god! That Sleight of Fist did so much damage. It's already taken out 1, and Fada, again, surrounded by so many heroes, time after time. The heart just doesn't mean a damn if you're left by yourself. Buybacks start coming through for Team Liquid, but
they
it doesn't
don't
mean
have
much.
AA
And
anymore.
QO, he's not stalling up one bit. The rollout, Lich!
Close.
Jarix on
QO
22
actually
HP.
dies.
Oh my god! Matumba Man finds that one. MVP might still be able to get the melee racks, though. The smoke screen goes out. MP just going all in for this melee racks. Now turns on to Matumba Man, leaving him for next as he's a dessert on the table. Fada, the big meaty boy, Liquid, are going to lose game number 1 as they call it GG. MVP Phoenix. They seem unstoppable. They gain a little bit of steam and they just grow it and grow it.
In a very dominant fashion, just taking down this first game in the best of 3 series. And Liquid, they say they were confident going into MVP. MVP have played so well against EG. They won in 17 minutes. I think you cannot underestimate these teams.
I mean, I think every single one of both like analysts and even people who aren't here that are really in the know of the scene had MVP Phoenix ranked a little bit lower, simply because, hey, they haven't been doing the greatest lately, and some of their, point towards some of those wins, people were like, oh, well, the X team didn't look the greatest. But here, at Manila, on the major, on the main stage for game number 1, they looked absolutely dominant against what is probably one of the tournament favorites. Liquid have easily been looking the best out of many of the teams.
And I want to mention something that wasn't mentioned during the draft, is that MVP went for the lifesteal Ricky first up, and that counters something that Liquid loves to do. Liquid played Darkseer in 5 of their last 6 games. And they had to ban Darkseer just against MVP, else they would take it along with Ricky's smokescreen. You can't give that away. So just a cute little thing that happened in that game.
Was Ricky actually the winner here for MVP Phoenix? Our analysts have a lot to explain after backing Liquid so heavily in MVP taking game 1.
Thank you very much, Capitalist and Wagger there on the commentary desk. We'll now find out our thoughts from our panel from game 1. Just a reminder for you, they all picked Liquid. Let's find out what they make of that one. Charlie.
All right. MVP is actually so good. They are so good.
Is that the entire analytical?
That's my summary. That's my summary. I watch these guys play, and I feel like nobody really matches their efficiency in spell usage and in just pure aggression. Like you're watching a lot of these fights where it looks like it's bad for MVP. They don't care. They're just like, you know what? I want to make use of my spells. I want to be. I just want to go in there. And you see like that fight in the Radiant jungle. It didn't go great for MVP. Forev got a Ravage on all heroes, but there was no follow-up. It only isolated the Ursa, who already had an Aegis. But despite that, they just keep on running at them, and they use their spells so well over and over again. I've never seen a team like this. It was beautiful to see.
Yeah, they got so much more out of each, like Charlie's saying, they got so much out of each of their spells, way more than Liquid did. We saw like multiple occasions happening, like in every single team fight, it was just like, oh, 3 or 4 man Ravage, a Chain Frost was bouncing through, and it was just nicely synergized. But I really have to give them a lot of credit because of the way they laned it. We were talking about how like, oh, Tidehunter just gets completely destroyed by Ursa AA and everything, but they decided to switch it up. They threw the Lich and the Lifestealer in the off lane. They know they wanted to give the Tidehunter a good start because he's their big team fight potential. He gets the mech up. As soon as he gets the mech, they get the level 6 on the Tide, they get the level 6 on Lich. They just run at them like Charlie was saying, and it was just like constant fights, beautifully committed.
And that was extra important because MVP always fights so early. So if they do a safe lane Tide, they guarantee the mech, and then when all the fights happen in the early game, they have big advantage. Because the first like 8 or so minutes, it was relatively even on both sides. We felt like, oh, Ricky's really not doing that much. But once they hit that mech timing, and Ricky had 3 points in Smoke Cloud, which initially we were like, oh, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But before BKBs on their core heroes, you drop Smoke Cloud on an Ursa and a Dragonite, and they can't do anything but run. And that easily transitioned into Ricky Lifestealer ganks, which is basically a 6-second stun.
Yeah, going off that aggression, their laning stage didn't go how they wanted. Ricky didn't have the impact that they probably expected Ricky to have, picking Ricky into like 3 tanky cores. But it didn't matter. Like these guys, so many other teams in their position would have played differently. They would have played slower, safer. Let's just get our core items up. But these guys, they don't care. It's amazing to see. They're just like, we expect that we're going to be better than you in these team fights. We're going to get more out of our spells. We're going to use our spells more than you. We're going to use them immediately after they're off cooldown. There's going to be no downtime because we're going to constantly run at you. And that's how they win these fights.
Okay, let's take a look back at some of the highlights from the game. And I also want to pick your brains a bit. You said they had to play Cerebral Dota. That's what you said at the start.
I said that I wanted them to play a little
Did
more
they
cerebral.
do that? Because that was pretty smart, right? The lanes are pretty smart.
I think, okay, I think they tried. I don't think the Ricky, they picked the Ricky in order to win lanes, but when you pick a Ricky, especially that early, it's easy to counter. They pick 3 core lanes that are hard to gank. Ricky couldn't gank it's hard to gank the Beastmaster, hard to gank the Dragonite. You can't really send him against that defense, the defensive tri-lane. So he can't really secure lanes that way. When you pick him, you sort of wanted to pick him into softer, squishier cores, like a Puck or a Quap or something like that. So not as cerebral, but it worked out. They said it was cerebral in the sense that they realized, hey, this isn't working. But there's another utility for him, and we're going to make this work.
All right, Folk, what did you make of their team fight?
Well, for me, I just felt like MVP did a really good job, like we were saying, of course, of using their spells, but of prolonging the fights constantly. You see QO is at like, what, 100 HP or something, zips out, TP's home, comes right back in, full health. Same thing with the Lifestealer. We saw in multiple situations he kind of got isolated. He's about to die, and then, oh, like, Febby runs up right next to him, he infests inside of him. We saw it toward the end of the game, and he ends up surviving. And you could see how much it ended up working out for them because they were able to just do much more damage in the fights because of that.
It was just incredible how much the Ricky made the Ursa weak. Like, he just never could hit anything, and it made a Lifestealer better than an Ursa in a super rare occasion. And they didn't necessarily plan for this because they picked Ricky in the first 2, but they also picked Tide, so maybe they were anticipating the Liquid Ursa. That could have been entirely something expected because that is a pocket carry that Liquid pulls out, and the Smoke Cloud skill build completely countered them before they had BKBs.
Yeah, I think Matumba Man really needed an early BKB that game. After the Dagger and the Mask of Madness, I think he had to get it. Yeah. He went for the Diffusal, which in a standard game is completely fine. But that Smoke Cloud, he does nothing in the fights, and he just gets kited.
Not even just the Smoke Cloud, but you were also saying, we didn't really mention it on the panel initially, but the Lich Armor. Of course, Diffusal, you can remove it, but you're going to burn through all your charges almost instantly. However, with a BKB, you kind of like solve all your problems rather than 1 or 2 problems. This is a great shot.
Yeah, some great reactions in the booths as well. We also got to see the battle view, finally.
The crazy thing about the mischance, though, is that nobody expects a Ricky to skill build like that, ever. Yep. So you wouldn't think, oh, I really need a BKB or an MKB. 2 items, well, MKB Ursa never buys, pretty much. And you're expecting 40% mischance? That's not terrible. Like, you'll hit, what, 6 out of 10 times? But when you're hitting 3 out of 10, you might as well not be attacking. You should be running. And if you play a game like this and that comes out of nowhere and you're not actually hitting at all, then all of a sudden you're like, I actually needed a BKB, not a Diffusal. That's easy to see as casters, but when you're in that game and you never expect that skill to be over level 1, it's completely unexpected.
And carry players hate buying BKBs.
They do.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of Ursa players, they feel like if they have to buy a BKB, then they've already lost. If you're, or Ursa wasn't a great pick in that situation. And so when you're forced into buying a BKB as an Ursa, you feel like you're already behind.
I felt like also for this one, it was like the first time that I felt like Mind Control kind of underperformed from what we expected, and we saw how much of an influence it had on their entire game structure. And then, of course, we're kind of like, I want to comment on one more item, even though I don't really want to nitpick too much on these.
Hold on, what's going on here? Like this is Purge area you're treading on.
Get on a different panel if you don't want to be here. All right,
well,
get out.
I was talking to Blitz during the group stages, and it was one of the games where Liquid was super dominant, and Fata goes for the heart as well instead of going for a BKB. And Blitz turned to me and goes, wow, he's so cocky. How can he really go for that instead of really just going for a BKB, the safe play? And in this situation, he went for the heart again as well. Don't think the BKB would have won them the game, but it definitely was like the safer option, especially because you're versus a Lifestealer. And now we do get to see the battle view.
Yeah, which we've been treated to in the background, obviously, before we came to the main event. But we knew it was coming. Couldn't wait to reveal it, and finally there it is in all its glory. I mean, Purge, you made a comment. Where do you look?
Yeah, I mean, you got webcams. You get to see how they're sitting. You got the HP on the top. It's pretty cool though. It gives you a lot of extra value just reading the game in a more direct way.
I like seeing the reactions of the players, like in the middle of the team fight. You see like who's yelling, who's really into it, and everything. It's really nice.
Who's disappointed?
Who's disappointed?
I do want to bring up the QO game because he's had already in this tournament as well had a great game on Ember. He's I think he's second in the most amount of kills in a single game on Ember. So we knew that he can play it. We know he's done it in the past, and he delivered here in game one.
I think the most significant thing about his Ember performance this game is that the amount of times he died in the early game while tanking ganks was basically 0. He almost never died, and that basically meant that Dragon Knight's Shadowblade into Silver Edge build was bad then. Like, you get Shadowblade to go around getting kills, especially on a hero like Ember. You can't go Blink because then he's going to get out before you initiate. But with Shadowblade, that gives you that option. If they didn't get those kills, and they coordinated them very well, every time the Ice Blast hit, he still never died. And because of that, it meant that the build that Fata went could have been a BKB, could have been a Blink BKB. That would have given them better early game. Like, that's what BKBs are good for. It helps you win fights that get you gold, that wins you a game. Carry players don't want to buy it because it doesn't really increase your damage. But against a team like MVP, you need to win those early fights or you lose the game. And that's exactly what happened. They got no value out of their gank items, and they didn't win their team fights. That's why they lost that game.
And I felt like I didn't really see Liquid get to utilize their smokes too much. They made like 1 or 2 smokes plays, which didn't really work out too well, while MVP, I think they had like 3 or 4 successful smoke plays where they walked up into somebody and then tied under blinks and gets a 3 or 4 man Ravage followed up by a Chain Frost. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty devastating to get that jump on you. And also Liquid just didn't have BKB, so even if they saw the Tidehunter coming in, they weren't able to do anything about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the important thing to note here is that if you look at Liquid's heroes, Beastmaster, Dragon Knight, Very, Ursa, those are heroes that you want to start the fight with. But if you look at all these fights, it's MVP starting all the fights. It's MVP Nakes bombing them. It's MVP just going on them, even with like a Lich nuke. Like, it's always MVP starting these fights.
Yep. It's a really good point, actually.
All right, let's look forward a little bit now and figure out what Liquid need to do, because they found themselves a game down. We often comment on the fact that they sometimes start these things a bit slow, but with the group stages already passed, surely the cobwebs are blown away, the rust is out of their system. They should be coming in here and playing game one fast, right?
The EG staple, though, first game of the day. So maybe
Are
they're
we
just
still going with that? Are we sticking with that?
No, I think that's dead.
That's dead?
I think that's as dead as EG's been looking this tournament.
Wow. So, did Charlie just drop an EG bomb?
I'm going to flame them the hardest.
Okay, all right. They get more grief from you.
Okay.
That seems fair, actually. Yeah, that seems fair. Okay, so I mean, let's look at game 2. I mean, Liquid now have to come back out, have to refocus, they have to think about all the things they've done in the past so well and deliver. But yet that looked like a typical kind of Liquid lineup with the addition of Ursa, which they played 6 times in this patch and won all 6. Now they've lost with it. What does that put them?
Maybe I don't know if it's only just the Ursa. I mean, we were all commenting a bit too that Ursa, he needs so many different items in order to be useful. But I think maybe just having the Beastmaster after not getting it this entire tournament and not for quite a while may have just kind of switched things up a bit. They had that Mind Control playing Darkseer pretty much consistently. I think 5 out of 6 of their recent games, and Darkseer is one of those heroes where some massive wombo combo in the team fights. He's pretty much the team fight king, you could say, while Beastmaster, although he is extremely good at team fights, he's more of like a kind of a pick-off and you play around the vision all the time.
I mean, that draft to me looked like the most obvious setup that I've seen. They know that Beastmaster is Liquid's best hero. It's one of the best heroes in the patch, if not the most OP right now. They let him have it, and they say, we're going to have a solution. We're going to put you in a 1v1 matchup against a hero that we know can win, that will buy mech. And it's Tidehunter. It was the clear one. It's going to be that hero or Darkseer in that 1v1 if they did this again.
Okay,
so they get the 1v1, they get the mech, they win the early fights.
Okay, so 2 other questions come out of the back of this game in particular. Is that, does that affect the meta going forward for the rest of the week? Because we know how it can change over a period of a few days, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Every game is going to
Yep.
affect the meta. Every time you play a team and they do something different and you lose, or they do something you don't expect, you have to adjust to that. And those little adjustments are what's going to create this meta.
Yeah, so the first one is the Beastmaster, which now puts that under question as to whether it is actually an automatic first pick, particularly for Liquid. After we've seen how strong they were with it, it was almost like MVP said, well, go on then, give us it game 1, because they wouldn't want to do that game 2 if they'd lost. So smart from them in a way. The second one is the Lycan. Just how much does that now mean Liquid are relying on that Lycan?
I don't think it's that big of a deal that Lycan is there. Really, the biggest thing was that they didn't kill QO multiple times. And I think the difference was that it was always one of the 2 stunners ganking independently with an Ice Blast. If they both went together, they would have killed QO every time. You can't survive a Dragon Tail into Roar. But it was every time in the early game, it was only one. Now, if you move together, it's way more predictable. They're going to be able to maybe see where you're going, and Ember Spirit will evade more of those ganks. But you have to get some of the kills at least. And they tried to min-max it, and they never got the kill.
I agree. I think that's probably also one of the reasons that Matumba Man went for that Diffusal first, because if Diffusal does take off Flame Guard, and that Flame Guard was the thing that kept QO alive for all of those ganks.
Okay, let's flip the question on its head and talk about MVP, because they're sitting pretty right now, and they can be a bit more relaxed about this. They know that they can give them the Beastmaster, and they've got a plan for it. So do they just let it go through again?
I mean, they've got 2 coaches, so I'm sure they can analyze what MVP's playstyle it is. It is the early advantage, the lane matchups that they like. I think they could be maybe more safe, ban Beastmaster over Bristle, make sure I was definitely out of the pool. I wouldn't let them through both together. But both teams can play it, actually. That could be another thing. Let them through, let one of the other team get that combo. They're both going to understand how to beat it if they both play it. Could see something like that.
I think what MVP should do is continue to take Liquid out of their comfort zone. That's why I like the Lycan ban. Don't give them what they're comfortable with. Something that Blitz has said in the past is, we're the best pushing team. We're the best at what we know. We're the best at what we do. So make them do something that they don't normally do. And I think that's the key to beating Liquid.
And I think that we were even like kind of overlooking that as well. We're looking like, Ricky, it's not really that good, but it really takes you out of your comfort zone. Like, how often do you really play versus Ricky? Not too much. And when you see a team like that play with it, the way they used it, it was, they completely took them out of their comfort zone. And you have like the Ursa farming one place in the jungle, and he doesn't expect, oh my god, like Ricky pops out with the Lifestealer inside of him. It's just like, oh, you really just don't see that coming at all.
It's an unstoppable gank. If that was a bounty hunter, they just cast a spell or he casts rage and stops the damage and TPs. Like, there's a lot of solutions, but that was their perfect draft for the bounty ban into let him have Beastmaster strat. It was great.
Yep.
Like that a lot. Okay, we are hearing that the players are almost ready, but we do have some social media questions that have been posted all the way through the group stages, and we do have another one for you to tackle right now, which is, who's the overall MVP so far, regardless of position or results? And that was from My Kinetic. Charlie.
Ooh.
Is that just for today,
is it too early?
Included?
Yeah, everything so far.
Everything so far.
I think it is really early.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, we haven't even.
All right,
seen
let me
3
rephrase it. I'll
full
rephrase
days.
it for him.
Okay.
Who was the MVP of the group stage?
Ooh, that's tough.
I think you may have stumped them.
I want to give it to Na'Vi as a whole. I think they're the team that's overperformed compared to everybody else in the group stages.
Would you not give it to Dicha or maybe Dendi? I mean, those two stood out.
I'd give it to either Dendi or Artstyle. I'm going to give it to Artstyle for his drafts.
But it's Nico drafting.
I'll give it to Snakeo for his drafts.
I think you made a really good point the other day, though. You were looking at like some of the stats, and you were saying Dendi's involved in what, 80% of the kills on the team throughout like the past 4 months or something.
93% of the kills during the group stage.
That's
mind-blowing.
I mean, of course,
it
pertains to him, but also how much they play around him and how much they really make him look so much like the star.
Yeah, I mean, he had one game where he was 23 kills in the game of the 24 the team got in the group stage. So, yeah, just astonishing. So, Charlie's kind of going for 2 of the players of Na'Vi, maybe 3, maybe the whole team. Is there anyone else that's up there in the running for maybe the MVP at the end of the tournament?
There's so many players that have been playing incredibly well. Like even My Control was playing super well through the group stages.
Had a great group stage.
One that people are kind of sleeping on, like you were mentioning before, is maybe from LGD. He's had incredible performances. I think his kill death ratio is one of the highest right now at this tournament. He had one of those Tinker games where he had like 20-something kills. He had an Invoker game where he was like 18-0. So I think there's a couple players that are really up there for that.
And we're really going to see where those players make it or break it. Like that game, Mind Control didn't play as well as he did in the group stage, which was unexpected because previously he was playing the best on Liquid. So, I mean, some of these guys they might just fall flat soon. There's a lot more games to come, basically.
Okay, I think we do have another question. So, should Admiral, Bulldog, and Loda swap positions or stay where they are? Excited Grot.
That's actually a really interesting question. I really like that one.
Yeah.
When's the last time we saw Loda offlane, like Zenith or something? Like
There was a point where in Alliance, Loda did play the offlane Tidehunter, and Bulldog took the safe lane carry position. It was like one game. I mean, they've swapped back since, but I mean, Loda does play that more offlaney, like sort of the greedier offlane position with the Slardars, Tidehunters, Faceless Voids, stuff like that, and Bulldog does tend to take more farm priority. Do I think they should switch?
I guess there's two questions, isn't there?
I don't know.
Should they switch? Should they switch full stop, or should they just switch for Manila Major, which would be like?
No. I don't think you change that drastically in the middle of the tournament.
It's too big.
And I don't think they should switch overall anyways. This is what they know. This is what they're comfortable with. I think you throw a wrench like that into the team, who knows what comes out. You're going to have times when you want Loda on space making. You want him on space making off lanes, like maybe a Clockwork, maybe a Bat Rider. He doesn't play that. Yeah. So no, I think it's too much of a change.
Yeah. Yeah. The only way that I describe it is that, like you said, Loda does team fight heroes basically, like Faceless Void. He does those things very, very well. If you put him on offlane, then now you have to pick your offlanes into those kind of roles, like universe type heroes. And then with Bulldog on safe lane, then you're playing more like active semi-carry kind of stuff, like Prophet or other stuff like that. So it just changes up their playstyle entirely, the picking style, the heroes they're comfortable with, and that's way too crazy to do, like last minute.
I've got one more question from Magic Moi, I think that is. Sorry if I butchered your name. Will anybody let MVP pick Bristle and IO again? And it's quite appropriate because it might get picked in the next game.
Yeah, only in desperation, I think. Because if you feel like you have them figured out, that's their best combo, that's their best strat, don't let them play it, and then you lose to something separate, maybe you go back to the thing that you feel like you understand really well, even if it's scary.
I don't think they should let them pick Bristle plus IO.
They're actually just... What if they can?
I don't know. I feel like this team is just really good at giving their offlaner just an amazing start. Like, we even saw that game. It was a little bit weird with the Lich and the Lifestealer, but it ended up working out super well. They give the Lifestealer the lane that he wants instead of like the other lane, which he would have free farmed in. But in this one, it was not only just giving the Lifestealer an advantage, but it was also causing pressure. So I really liked what they did, and I think that they should really not give IO Bristle to this team because EG. We saw what happened with EG.
Okay. Charlie on board?
I can actually see a scenario in which a team gives them Bristle IO. Let's say MVP does really, really well throughout this tournament. They beat Liquid, they beat the next team, and all these teams consistently ban Bristle IO against them because that's sort of what everybody agrees that you should do against MVP. But let's say MVP just they're still steamrolling all these teams when they're banning Bristle IO. And I think at that point, you want to do something different against MVP. You can't keep on banning Bristle IO against them. You have to show that, hey, we can beat your Bristle IO.
Yeah, just leave the Bristle and ban the IO, right? That's probably the easiest solution, I guess you could say.
Or you try to take it yourself. Liquid will grab it, and even if it doesn't look like a typical IO plus something combo, they'll still grab it just because it helps them win lanes, and it helps them be more mobile around the map during the mid game, even if it's not a great combo.
And it's going to be quite unlikely we see that combination because usually one of the two is going to get rid of IO because Liquid play it as well. So
they'll bait it. They'll try to. They'll be like, do you want to give the second pick team the possibility of Bristle IO? Maybe.
So since we were talking about what we see, since we saw Beastmaster come out, will we see him maybe less favored? How do you feel about not seeing Phoenix picked or banned in that series?
I think it's the right thing to do, isn't it?
He has an abysmal win rate this tournament.
Awful, 32% right now. Yeah, combined with the Puck, who's on a 22% win rate right now. I mean, those two, I think they're the two that have fallen out of favour from the group stage. When people go back and they look at the group stage and they analyse everything that happened, they'll just be going, Wow, how did that fall off so fast?
It's like super interesting because we were all looking into it and we're like, oh, Phoenix, Sunray is the most ridiculous thing coming into this tournament, but
teams have been finding ways to deal with it. With
yes,
the
they
Knicks
have.
Pick,
the Knicks pick.
The Knicks in the mid,
Earth Spirit in some capacity as well.
depending on who plays.
And it wouldn't have been good that game anyways. The one player on, it would have worked on Liquid maybe is instead of AA, for example, but you can't do AA and Phoenix. It would have had to have been a Phoenix right there to start off the draft. And Phoenix is not very good against Lifestealers.
Got a fun stat for you, just going back to the Loader Bulldog question. Nox has just updated me. Loader has 2 games on Tidehunter in Pro Dota history, ever.
And one of them was in the last month.
One of them was 11 days ago, and they put Bulldog, played LD, and then one was in September 2014, and Bulldog played Pugner. So I think the chances of that happening is pretty,
Bulldog playing what? Pugner.
What the? Well, it does have one summon.
And they lost both games. That's all I want to say about that, and we can move on very quickly.
From personal experience, Pugner's not a game winner, guys.
I think they figured that one out. We'll take one more. How do you counter Lifestealer in the draft if you didn't ban it? And that's a question from the Rudy Hartento.
4 staffs.
4 staffs. 4 staff is a really good item for some,
Yeah.
You want to be able to pick heroes that Lifestealer has a hard time killing. The name of the game against Lifestealer is to kite him around. You kite him through the rage. After his rage, he doesn't do that much.
What are the obvious ones that stand out to you? What maybe, even though it hasn't been too popular lately, the Naga Siren, of course, in Snare is pretty much godly versus Lifestealer.
Yeah, the hero's not that popular, but it's really about kiting. It's that first 6 seconds. He open wounds somebody, he rages, you force them away, and then nobody's probably going to die in that time period.
It's about Nature's Prophet's great against him right now. The reason that you've seen the resurgence of Lifestealer is he's great against tanky cores. And what have people been picking this patch? Tanky cores.
And he's obviously an armlet holder, and he like Infest is pretty much a second life at this point. People are using it very, very consistently using it in that manner just to heal up.
He's very safe at farming in aggressive places on the map. I mean, you saw it that game. They ganked Ancients. That's consistently happening against Lifestealers. They say, I guarantee that's the hero they're farming because not very many other heroes can easily do Ancients. So they smoke, they move in Ancients, easy carry kill. They can turn that into a Roche. That's a really good way to deal with him.
All right, thank you all 3 of you. We're going to take a break right now, and as we head to that break, we're going to figure out what's going on with Liquid and hopefully help them back into Draft 2. So don't go too far away. We'll be back very shortly with Game